Fascism is a cult of the leader who promises national restoration in the face of supposed humiliation by immigrants, leftists, liberals, minorities, homosexuals, women, in the face of what the fascist leader says is a takeover of the country's media, cultural institutions, schools by these forces. And that's why you need a really macho, powerful, violent response. The fascist leader says he will solve the problem. Fascism is right-wing by nature. It's based on ultranationalism. However, you can have ultranationalist movements that are ultranationalist movements of minority groups. There is left-wing authoritarianism. There are bad things on the left. Stalin killed many, many people. Mao killed many, many people. These are terrible figures, but not all terrible things are fascist. Fascism is a very particular ideological structure. When thinking about fascism, you can't think about these individual elements in isolation. They come as a bundle. My name is Jason Stanley. I'm the Jacob Urowski Professor of Philosophy at Yale University and the author of 5 books, most recently, How Fascism Works, The Politics of Us and Them. We forget that many fascist regimes started off as democratic political parties. We forget that Hitler, the Nazi party, ran in an election. Fascist parties start as fascist social and political movements before they come to power. So it's important to see that these tactics occur even in societies that do not have a fascist regime. All nationalism involves a mythic past. So you can say, look, we're Polish people who spoke Polish and were sheep herders, and another bunch of Polish people who were fishermen. You can talk about how things were wonderful when we were all Polish together. That's a fine mythic past. But then there's the fascist mythic past. In the past, we were great. Wherein did our greatness consist? In our military. And in the past, the dominant racial group ruled over others. And then the fascist leader says, that has been taken from you by the leftists and communists. They want to weaken our military. They want to weaken our greatness. Propaganda is ubiquitous and everyone uses propaganda. In political propaganda, your main message is something other than the information you're conveying. Fascist propaganda is a very particular structure. It's based around a friend-enemy distinction. The political opponent, they are a merciless threat to your very existence and your traditions. They are the other. When they are in charge, it subverts the nation. So the structure of fascist propaganda is based on the idea that the other are fundamentally opposed to the nation. As Hitler says in Mein Kampf, science is only useful insofar as it strengthens the nation. Fascism is a cult of the leader. It involves the leader setting the rules about what's true and false. So any kind of expertise, reality, all of that is a challenge to the authority of the leader. If science would help him, then he can say, okay, I'll use it. Institutions that teach multiple perspectives on history in all its complexity are always a threat to the fascist leader. The center of democracy is truth. You're not free if you've been lied to. Nobody thinks the people of North Korea are free. The people of North Korea will vote for dear leader every time because they've been lied to. It's not a free vote because they don't have access to the truth. Equality similarly requires truth, because equality in democracy doesn't mean we all have the same amount of money. It doesn't mean we all have the same car. It means political equality, that each of our voices matters the same. And political equality means speaking truth to power. If someone really powerful is humiliated when they're caught lying, that's the core of political equality. So if you're going to rip the heart out of democracy, you get people used to lies. Here's a fact about humans. We all pretty much suck to the same degree. One group of us is not better than another group of us. Hierarchy is central here because it's the big lie at the center of things. What is racism but one big lie? Racism is the lie that one group is better than another. You're told this religion is better, this race is better, this gender is better. It's really a moral claim, has more moral worth. And then once you have hierarchy set up, you can make people very nervous and frightened about losing their position on that hierarchy. Hierarchy goes right into victimhood, because once you convince people that they are justifiably higher on the hierarchy, then you can tell them that they're victims of equality. German Christians are victims of Jews. White Americans are victims of Black American equality. Men are victims of feminism. Once you convince people that they should be better, that they have earned a position on the hierarchy over others, then you can tell them that equality is actually victimhood. Loyalty to the dominant group means law-abidingness. And the minority group is by its nature not law-abiding. Law and order in fascist politics means the members of the minority group who accept their subservient role, they're law-abiding, and the members of the dominant group, by their very nature, are law-abiding. By definition, the leader can't violate law and order. So law and order doesn't mean justice. Law and order doesn't mean equality. Law and order structures who's legitimate and who's not. Everywhere around the world, no matter what the situation is, in very different socioeconomic conditions, the fascist leader comes and tells you, your women and children are under threat. You need a strong man to protect your families. They make conservatives hysterically afraid of transgender rights or homosexuality, other ways of living. These are not people trying to live their own lives. They're trying to destroy your life, and they're coming after your children. What the fascist politician does is they take conservatives who aren't fascist at all, and they say, look, I know you might not like my ways. You might think I'm a womanizer. You might think I'm violent in my rhetoric, but you need someone like me now. You need someone like me because homosexuality, it isn't just trying for equality. It's coming after your family. Fascist movements typically, though not invariably, rest on an urban-rural divide. The cities are where there's decadence, where the elites congregate, where there's immigrants, there's criminality, there's Sodom and Gomorrah. In the city, there's not real work. The pure, hardworking, real members of the nation live in the rural areas where they work hard with their hands. When our politicians talk about inner city voters or urban voters, we all know what they mean. Arbeit macht frei, work shall make you free. This was written on the gates of Auschwitz. The idea is that the minority group, they're lazy and they need to be made to work. Free labor. The minority group and the leftists, they're lazy by their nature, and it gives them a work ethic. Labor unions are run by communists who are trying to make things easier. Hard work is a virtue. In liberal democracy, we don't value people by how hard they work. What would happen to disabled people who can't work? They would then have no value. It's why the Nazis had the T4 program to murder the disabled, because the disabled were lebensunwertiges Leben, life unworthy of life, because to be valued was to be capable of hard work. Each of these individual elements is not in and of itself fascist, but you have to worry when they're all grouped together. When honest conservatives are lured into fascism by people who tell them, look, it's an existential fight. I know you don't accept everything we do, you don't accept every doctrine, but your family is under threat. Your family is at risk. So without us, you're in peril. Those moments are the times when we need to worry about fascism.
Get smarter faster with new videos every week from the world's biggest thinkers.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no return. You understand?
I'm prized here by my fellow man and woman.
I never fucked anybody over in my life. Didn't have it coming. You got that?
They're all convicted based on the facts of the matter and the truth.
You want to go out with me? You say it. You don't? Then you make a move.
You don't tell me who's standing for foundational values and principles and sacrificing at times to secure our inherent natural rights to leave. You leave and go somewhere where you suck up to people who run your life with statute, policy, and code and dictate. You get the fuck out. I'm a real American. One of these days, these slaves are going to wake up and realize United States Corporation and all these corporations are just glorified mafiosi. That's how mafiosi works. There's a hidden hand. There's folks at the top, and they use all the underlings who want a position of power to be seen and heard or want the benefits and privileges of being in the organization to front run and front man their behind the scenes operations. The majority of your political science majors are convicted by God as felonious and are somewhat predatory because they seek positions of false power to be looked at and seen and heard, don't actually provide any redeemable service or solution while they're getting paid profiteering. They're all working with lobbyists and corporations. They're all taking money behind the scenes. They're all supporting wars around the world. These slaves still can't figure out the whole reason of making a democratic political system is to convince the people that who they voted for is in office making decisions while the same people who ran your life from the beginning of time do it behind their puppets. We don't have to lie to ourselves and ignore the corruption, the oppression, repression, depression. As a matter of fact, by facing it, we can move beyond it. The architects of political science and New World Order understand your brain chemistry, conscious and awareness, and thoughts, emotions, actions. They know how to mind and heart control you. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to act like that doesn't exist because it's not convenient for our culting. See, right below the surface is of I love you, and the love bombing and the using is, Paul, you're a grifter, you're not credible, but somehow you are. When I have over and over again experiences that inspire others to change what they're doing to get results, that's actually moving the mainstream narrative. Literally, I and hundreds of others on the ground, including quote-unquote state nationals and others, are moving certain ideas forward by being the example, and we're pushing the narratives into the mainstream based on what we're doing on the ground, month by month, year by year.
Who put this thing together? Me! That's who! Who do I trust? Me!
Testing. All right, we're back at it, folks. Let me know if my audio visual is coming through clearly. I've been kind of taking some time away for the most part, at least personally. Well, and professionally, I guess, if you want to call this that. Taking some time away from the world and the usual people, places, and things. The political narratives, New World Order, and all the rest of it. Kind of getting back to me, as we used to say. Yeah, getting back to me. Still on the mend, healing up. Still got some issues physically, but getting better over time. Keeping the faith, practicing peace, right, and not living through these other folks. Or engaging with the world beyond a certain point. But today, here we are. It's been a while, been a couple weeks or so. Time's going by pretty fast nowadays, at least for me. I turn around and I go, man, it's been a couple weeks. I got to get a broadcast in, at least a proof of life broadcast, right? Because these people start to wonder, is he back on the dog food or something? Did he get 14 vaccines and keel over? Where's this kid at? So I figure I'll do a proof of life today. What better opportunity than Donnie Trump's State of the Slave Union address, aka the State of Confusion address. I haven't seen it yet, but that's apparently big news. Big news, Donnie's State of Confusion address. So I figured, I'll pop up, let the folks know everything is still okay. We're getting there, refocusing a bit, changing some perspective and energy. Every so often, you may need that in life, whether you want it or not. You may need it. Yeah, let the folks know that I'm still here. We're still alive. Everything's going to be okay. And dive into the world once again, right? See what the usual suspects have to offer, right? Maybe there's something we're missing, Of course, when we come here, we open up the phone lines, 602-730-0122, questions, comments, concerns, presentments, and also the panel link. On the off chance that maybe you know something I don't, maybe you have an understanding that I don't, and therefore I'm the one in the state of confusion, and maybe you can get me right. If nothing else, it's usually an interesting or entertaining exchange, at least for myself and a few others here. So, all right, let's just move right into it. Okay, why not? We're going to kind of slow roll it today, at least for the beginning. I didn't plan to go long or do too much talking, but you know me in this place and how that goes. So, and then I got some breaking slave news afterwards. So let's just get to that. We'll go through the State of Confusion highlights. See what the folks here today, the public, have to offer, if anything. And if not, I'll ride it out solo, get to everything, and then we'll get the hell out of here. Okay. All right, Donnie's 10 highlights from the State of Confusion. And let's see what he has to offer. Let's see what they have to offer, right? By the way, the intro, not really sure what that guy's political affiliation is, but he's pretty much on the mark as far as I'm concerned. My perspective aligns pretty much with everything that he laid out, and pretty much seemingly everything that we're seeing going on nowadays. And for a while, this has been a long time coming, but we'll see how it shakes out. Let's go, Donnie.
Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it.
It's already great.
People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in.
It's already great right off the bat. It's already great. We got hockey teams. We got greatness. We got winning. A little U.S. slave chant. Oh, there's nothing like a U.S. slave chant to get me fired up. Yeah, we're winning. Inflation's through the roof. Gun control is taking hold. We're on the back of a lockdown that increased inflation, unprecedented. Economic and geopolitical instability worldwide, wars around the world. We're fucking winning, people. We're winning. Can't you tell? And how do you know that we're winning? We have the men's hockey team here today. Get a little U.S. slave chant. A little U.S. slave chant in the chat, please. Okay? It's a very momentous occasion. And Mr. Talcott in the back. What the hell? Let's bring in Mr. Talcott. Mr. Talcott, file in, because this is big, all right? Try to get in where you fit in here. Very big stuff.
Holy cows, man.
U.S. slave. U.S. slave. U.S. slave. That wasn't a great move before I came here today. I'm immediately brightened up.
It's going to get better, I promise.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've ever seen them get up.
Holy
And actually, not all of them did get up. But they beat a fantastic Canadian team in overtime, as everybody saw, as did the American women who will soon be coming to the White House.
Yay, women. You like women today. Today is a day for women. We love these women, especially the ones who take payment for sexual favors. We love you. We need you. Very important to America.
The world is fallen. Look at it.
No, we're winning, Jack. See, I'm not going to have you here if you're going to be negative here today, okay? This is not a time for negativity.
They were
Oh,
in the
my
office
God.
before. And I just want to say a second very big congratulations to Team USA. But I have to say that, and I told them this, and we took a vote of the team. I said, anybody votes no, I'm not doing it. So they stood there and they weren't about to say no, because I've never seen a goaltender play as well as goalie Connor Hellebuck.
U.S. slave. U.S. slave.
I think he looks like someone who plays hockey.
Think of it, 46 shots on goal, and I asked him, the one shot, the one where you put your stick in the back and it hit the neck of your stick and bounced off.
Whoa.
You practiced that, or was that a little lucky? He refused to answer that question.
Little island humor.
But I just want to tell you that the members of this great hockey squad will be very happy to hear, based on their vote and my vote, and in this case, my vote was more important, that I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, which we will be given and which has been given to many athletes over the years. But when I say many, not too many, like 12, it's called the highest civilian honor in our country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Wow.
Wow.
Medal of Freedom. How appropriate. U.S. slave. U.S. slave.
Yeah. Who plays the sport? What a trope, man. Oh my God.
He loves it. It's all showmanship, right?
Oh
I love
my
it.
God.
Great athletes have gotten that, very great, the best. And I thought he deserved it. And I did take a vote, every single one of them. I said, I'm not giving it if anybody goes no. And every single one of them rapidly put up their hand. So I want to thank you. What a special job you did. What special champions you are. Thank you very much.
There's more to that.
One of the primary reasons for our country's stunning economic turnaround, the biggest in history, where the Dow Jones broke 50,000 4 years ahead of schedule, and the S&P hit 7,000, where it wasn't supposed to do it for many years, were tariffs. I used these tariffs, took in hundreds of billions of dollars to make great deals for our country, both economically and on a national security basis. Everything was working well. Countries that were ripping us off for decades are now paying us hundreds of billions of dollars. They were ripping us so badly, you all know that. Everybody knows it. Even the Democrats know it. They just don't want to say it. And yet these countries are now happy, and so are we. We made deals. The deals are all done. And they're happy. They're not making money like they used to, but we're making a lot of money. There was no inflation, tremendous growth. And the big story was how Donald Trump called the economy correctly, and 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics didn't. They got it totally wrong. They got it really wrong. And then just 4 days ago, an unfortunate ruling from the United States Supreme Court. It just came down. It came down. Very unfortunate ruling.
Very unfortunate.
But the good.
Jack, are you aware of what he's speaking about? Because I obviously didn't do my due diligence here today. I didn't do my homework. What is he talking about specifically? And we'll ask the chat the same deal. Supreme Court decisions not good coming down. What is that?
It's just very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Poor judgment from the judges. You know, they really let Daddy Trump down because they said that the rules he claimed gave him authority for the slave tax on all the imports, the tariffs. They said no, he didn't actually have that authority. So he's got other ways of doing it, though. So it's not a horrible thing. It's just an unfortunate thing.
Okay, see, I didn't even know about that. So apparently Supreme Court, whatever that is, getting together, obviously, to decide what the corporation has a right to do and doesn't have a right to do. And apparently ruling against Donnie and his global taxation plan, right? Because, you know, what would be a better setup for this nation than to outsource all products and services to other countries and then turn around and tell everyone you're going to charge them extra to be a part of the endeavor, right?
Right.
All right, let's continue on. I think there's going to be a lot of places during this U.S. slave experience where you and I are a bit confused about how this all works, but that's because we're not in the need to know position, right? We're not experts and authorities and politicos, so it's going to be hard for us and the audience to make sense of any of this. We're really just going to have to have trust and faith in Donnie and all these folks that obviously they have our best interest at heart, right? You know, they're not just up here playing power games and putting on shows, right? This is the real deal. This is serious business.
The news is that almost all countries and corporations want to keep the deal that they already made, right, Scott? Knowing that the legal power that I, as president, have to make a new deal could be far worse for them, and therefore they will continue to work along the same successful path that we had negotiated before the Supreme Court's unfortunate involvement. So despite the disappointing ruling, these powerful country-saving, it's saving our country, the kind of money we're taking in, peace-protecting. Many of the wars I settled was because of the threat of tariffs. I wouldn't have been able to settle them without. Will remain in place under fully approved and tested alternative legal statutes. And they have been tested for a long time. They're a little more complex, but they're actually probably better, leading to a solution that will be even stronger than before. Congressional action will not be necessary. It's already time tested and approved. And as time goes by, I believe the tariffs paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love.
Holy shit.
Even in times of challenge, setback, and immense heartache, the spirit of 1776 has always shone through very brightly. It was July 4th of last year when floodwaters tore through a girls' summer camp in Central Texas. One of the worst things I've ever seen. I was there, rising 26 feet in the matter of minutes, tragically claiming many, many lives. You all remember that one. As the waters threatened to sweep her away, 11-year-old Millie Kate McClelland closed her eyes and prayed to God. She thought she was going to die. Those prayers were answered when Coast Guard rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin descended from a helicopter above. Nobody knew where he came from. It was Scott's first ever rescue mission, a young guy, but very brave, very, very top, always top in his class. And he lifted not just Millie Kate, but 164 others to safety. People watched Scott from a distance, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The winds were blowing, the rain was pouring, everything was going, and that rapid water, nobody's ever seen anything like it. They said, wow, that's something. Tonight, Scott and Millie Kate are here together, reunited for the very first time. Thank you, Scott, Millie Kate.
What an amazing show.
And Petty Officer Ruskin, I'm pleased to inform you that I am now awarding you the Legion of Merit for extraordinary heroism, which is what it was, extraordinary heroism. Thank you.
Who knows it?
Don't ask him and the rest of the military folks what they're up there in the
We're
plains
also
spraying
working
either.
to make it easier
Right.
for Americans to save for retirement. And under this administration, we will always protect Social Security and Medicare. They are not protecting it for our
Yeah.
seniors. We will always protect
We'll fight to
Social
protect
Security,
it
Medicare.
from ourselves.
We're going to fight ourselves to protect it, Jack. It's going to happen.
Since I took office, the typical 401k balance is up by at least $30,000.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
We have millions and millions of people, because the stock market has done so well, setting all those records. Your 401ks are way up. Yet half of all of working Americans still do not have access to a retirement plan with matching contributions from an employer. To remedy this gross disparity, I'm announcing that next year my administration will give these often forgotten American workers, great people, the people that built our country, access to the same type of retirement plan offered to every federal worker. We will match your contribution with up to $1,000 each year as we ensure that all Americans can profit from a rising stock market. Let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information.
Is the guy who released the meme coin.
What
He released the meme
hell?
coin after fixing crypto legislation.
Right.
All right, so let's pause here for a second. Let's just give some adjoining commentary here to remind folks of, like, history. What happened to the stock market before the Great Depression? Well, the stock market before the Great Depression was characterized by a period of rapid expansion and speculation. Sounds familiar? During the Roaring '20s, the economy expanded significantly and the stock market boomed, with prices rising dramatically. However, this boom was unsustainable, leading to a series of economic indicators that warned of potential trouble. And those indicators are speculation. Investors were heavily invested in stocks, right, and other speculative assets. Why? Because of the declining strength of the currency. But let's not talk about that. We never bring that up at these meetings and hearings, right? We'd rather not focus on that. You're being negative. Often buying on margin, right, which created a bubble that could not withstand the inevitable collapse. We have economic indicators. The agricultural sector was depressed. Consumer goods manufacturers faced low wages and purchasing power. There's your inflation again, right? Having to pay more for the same goods or even a lesser amount of goods because your purchasing power is waning, and it contributed to a downturn in economic activity. Interest rates. The Federal Reserve increased interest rates, which contributed to the gradual decline in stock prices. But again, let's not focus on all that. The fact that Donnie is now pointing out to all the slaves how great we're doing based on a metric that is obviously gamed and fixed by the same centralized bankers who have a non-gold or silver-backed non-currency that they print up ad infinitum and then inject into these modalities in order to create that idea of balance, or to create the perspective that everything is doing great, we're booming. This is all unsustainable. And again, on the back of a lockdown, which we haven't even seen the outcome of, locking down a whole world for 4 or 5 years and then opening things back up, right? We're now just starting to see part of the waves of that, right? I think they call it the Streisand effect. Maybe it's the butterfly effect. Who knows? The slave effect. I'm coining the term right now, the fascistic slave effect. So any comments on that, Jack? Questions, comments, concerns regarding Donald Trump? We're just going to go down the line here and maybe stop every so often and remind people of this little thing called history and why it just might not be as in alignment or as accurate, or we're just kind of leaving some stuff out, right? Thoughts on any of that?
Everything he said and more, man. Holy cows. This stock market manipulation, 401k BS, bragging about the numbers in the index as inflation is happening, right? It is. It's a repeat of the patterns from the past. And what you said about the lockdowns and stuff, yeah, the effects and the choices. Ooh, today is a result of choices from the past and today. Everything is. And I don't think the consequences of what warp speed and the responses and all of this, I don't think everything's been realized yet. But my hope is it's waking people up, right?
I think that's definitely part of this process, and it does seem to be a cyclical process. I've maintained for the longest time, hopefully, as you say, I'm incorrect about this, that we're not going to do a 100-year sort of mirrored reflective program here where we go through another roaring 20s period of unstable economic situations, right? We're in the 2020s, so roaring 20s, same idea, instability economically, political instability, right? Wars on both sides, left wing versus right wing, world war, on the horizon, right? Centralized bankers moving in with a new currency system to replace the old world order with a newer world order, aka digitized currency and tokenization. So I'm hoping that all these things that I'm seeing, that I'm aligning with Albert Pike, the head of World Freemasonry, who declared 3 world wars and then a new world order over the next 150, 200 years. I'm hoping that that's all just a bunch of coincidences, right? And while I'm hoping all that, I'm doing what I can, at least part-time, personally, to potentially prepare myself for what is to come, right? And not out of a fear-based state as much as I can muster, but out of this state of just self-sufficiency and self-sustainability. Because you could argue how we got here, like we always do, is we got away from being who and what we're truly meant to be, living how we're supposed to live, providing for and with ourselves and each other, communally based, right? We started going to the cities, trying to make a living, stacking that currency, non-currency, focusing on these people and their world and giving our power away to them, right? And we turn around one day, we wake up again one day, and here we are again, right? Same old looping cycles, circumstances for the same reasons. But as you say, this time might be different. The famous last words, right? In any situation, it's different this time. Why? Because we have the internet, at least, right? I can make a case that maybe it can be different this time. We have what seems to be a bit more of a spiritual awakening, a bit more consciousness and awareness, right? A lot of the information we talk about here is traveling at light speed to a bunch of different people, places, areas on the internet. I've seen that more and more, right? This recognition that United States is a corporation. We should not be engaged with it beyond a certain point. If it wants to benefit us, great. If it wants to represent us as part of the corporation to interfere with our property and rights, well, then we need to decouple from that, right? And again, this is a point in history where we're going to have to make a decision that potentially we might be deemed enemies in a sense, right? Because you know how this thing works. At times it can. If you're not with it, you must be against it, right? If you're for rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith, personal choice, an actual sustainable economy backed by something rather than authoritarianism and central bankism, you might just be against United States corporation. No, I'm not. I'm not overthrowing them. I don't want them destroyed. I just want the freedom to be able to decouple and not be told what to do or who I'm going to pay, right? Imagine that. Thoughts on any of that before we move on here? We got to get back to Donnie.
Yes, and more. And Paul, I swear on this, let's do it. Let's get back to Donnie. Let's get his attention, because I'm pursuing this sincerely. Get some conscious people together. And let's go to the people who actually think that it's better to serve government than serve freedom. Right? These people in Congress and what Donald Trump surrounded himself with. He's being honest in that State of the Union show. This is a great show he's putting on. He knows how to keep attention and get freaking people excited. He's good.
Well, the people want this, right? The United States citizen slaves want to be bullshitted. They want to be lied to. They want to be told if we give our power away, we're going to be kept safe and given certain benefits and privileges. It's the old pimp and hoe philosophy, right? So the hoe wants to be lied to. The hoe wants to be given the game by the pimp. The hoe wants to be told they're going to be protected if they just give away a good portion of what they make to the pimp, right? It's all going to be okay. We're going to do this together. We're working on this together. As long as you fuck for money and give it to me and do what I say, we're going to go places in this life, Lady Liberty. That's just how I perceive it. All right, let's go. We're going to get there. Us and the hockey team.
They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she's here? Doubt it.
Oh.
Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act without delay.
He's amazing.
As he's insider trading, that's what's so great.
Right. Yes.
I wasn't sure if anybody even on this side was going to applaud for that. I'm very impressed. Thank you. I'm very impressed. So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Especially the obedient one, the loyal one.
Slight correction there, Donnie and others, because I think you missed the point again, and they do it on purpose, right? Because this is all just pimping and gaming. But the first duty of supposed United States servants, right, service providers, is to uphold our rights. Okay, that's been ruled on at Supreme Court, by the way, that public servants have no duty to us to keep us safe. They do have a duty to uphold our rights. And I prefer it that way, right? It's just weird how we never hear anything about rights and freedom and always about this idea of being kept safe, you know? and of course, they're the people who are going to keep us safe are going to lay out all the people, places, and things that are threatening us right now, right? That we have to be kept safe from by them. And of course, it's going to come with a little bit of payment, right? Because we got to get this done. You know, how else are we going to fund it? I'm sure we could come to an agreement on both sides that both sides just want to keep everyone safe.
Right.
Yeah. You may have to give up some rights, as Barack Obama said, in order to be kept safe as well. You have to give up some of that sovereignty.
Yep. And increase the spending. That military needs more money.
Got to stop the fraud, too. A lot of fraud with these brown people and illegals lately. You know? A lot of threats from the transgenders, the leftists. They did an Epstein hoax. They're doing fraud. A lot of stuff we got to address. Got to be kept safe from all that.
All those people. There's nothing but problems. Right?
Well, some might say corporatism, fascism, democracy is the problem. Now, you're never going to be able to go to the problem to create the solution, right? Some people might say that. I wouldn't say that. That sounds chaotic.
No,
you know?
it's got to be the brown people.
Yeah, it sounds anarchistic, right? Don't you want some law and order here, people?
Right. You can't have it without taxation and oppression. No orders available.
You should be ashamed of yourself, not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Wasn't it Bill Clinton, one of the guys you were hanging out with and partying with and dancing with, the guy running drugs along with the United States military from Vietnam to Afghanistan? Oh, no, hold on, we're chanting. Sorry. Don't kidnap, don't human traffic, don't lie, don't steal, don't run drugs, because the government doesn't want competition.
I'm asking you to approve the Save America Act.
Hey,
To stop illegal aliens and others who are unpermitted persons from voting in our sacred American elections. The cheating is rampant in our elections. It's rampant. It's very simple. All voters must show voter ID.
Pretty sure they already do, but whatever. I mean, we gotta, again, there's an enemy here, people. The illegals, they're stopping your sacred elections. I didn't know elections for corporate positions were
All
sacred.
voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote.
Oh, very,
God would
very
want.
true.
That's what God would want, Jack.
Yep.
And no more crooked mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. None.
It's pretty much everyone.
And this should be an easy one. And by the way, it's polling at 89%, including Democrats. 89%. And even the new communist mayor of New York City, I think he's a nice guy, actually. Speak to him a lot. Bad policy, but nice guy. Just said they want people to shovel snow. They got hit hard. Wants them to shovel snow, but if you apply for that job, you need to show 2 original forms of ID and a social security card. Yet they don't want identification for the greatest privilege of them all, voting in America. No, it's no good. No good. Both Republicans and Democrats overwhelmingly agree on the.
Now, you see how they do it, folks? Because they recognize that we have a movement going on right now of people decoupling from the corporation, working in the private, right? Maybe not even paying fraudulent slave tax because they're not involved in legalism and corporatism. They're just under God with their rights, doing business in the private with their fellow man to make a living. Is it possible that every time these corporate presenters name the enemy and then bring the solution, it's not actually for the people they named, it's for you and I? You know, like when ICE drags U.S. citizens out of their homes, we have a bunch of those videos over the past month or so, you know? So yeah, I'm just asking a question. Some might say that is in fact what this is that the folks in the legalistic corporatistic endeavor want to make sure that there's no more men and women in the private who are doing anything that is not tracked and traced and able to be taxed in order to fund their corporate activities. We have a Tom. That okay? That is. Greetings, Thomas Aquinas. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm getting there, sir. I'm blessed. I have to remind myself of that, and I just got to keep the faith, do the next right thing, and pursue peace. Peace is my power nowadays. What do you got for us, Tom? Questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I do. One thing is the second you start playing Trump bullshit, Talcott shows up. He's my favorite CIA agent.
Right.
When you just look in that direction, in my opinion, if you've done anything to involve yourself with some of the new information that's come out, it's really hard to even play their dumbass game anymore. Plus, I've been censored like fucking 90 times on your YouTube platform today. So that's something else I wanted to say.
Yeah, they're doing it to me as well. For whatever reason, the chat is at times heavily censored. But we know that, right? We know that for the longest time. YouTube, Google, and all the rest of it, have a way of interfering. Go ahead.
I've never experienced being totally censored. I think maybe one of literally 10 or 15 messages that I've sent have went through. And it's crazy because I went a little bit deeper in the internet today, and I think it's clear because of the type of things I was viewing. It's a retaliatory or a playful mechanism, if that makes sense.
Well, we know that. I mean, this has been going on since the beginning, not only with myself, but many others here. We are, if we talk rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith, and use common sense, we are in fact a danger to democracy. So, I think that's potentially what's going on there, right? Is again, there's a lot of enemies, a lot of stuff, a lot of people, places, and things that stand in the way of you, United States citizens, and being kept as safe as possible. And I'm probably one of them. You see how many folks come to my channel to remind me that by what I put out, I'm getting folks arrested on the sides of roads. I'm getting folks in trouble at the court. So a lot of dangers to democracy that have to be dealt with, Tom. Okay, that's just the reality of it. All right, let's.
I mean, if you want to get me political, I'll start going pro democracy. I mean, I love two wolves and a sheep type shit. But it sucks when those two wolves are different and you're the sheep in that scenario.
Well, that's always what it is, right? Historically, we know that it's always the majority split between the left and the right. Essentially, I would name the ism, but you can't even, because they're so mercurial and transformative at times that they almost morph into each other, right? I was going to say it's basically a tug of war between communism or Marxism and fascism. But what does that ultimately mean when it always goes to the same place, right? Centralized authorities, the destruction of private property, or the rights that include private property, right? The censorship of free speech, and all the other things that the majority of these isms show themselves to be throughout history. So we know the game by now. We know what comes with it. We believe we know where it goes, but ultimately we got to keep the faith, right? Stay humble before God. Just do the next right thing. Have a care and hold out that everything's going to be what it's meant to be, right? So, yeah, I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to live as a being who's oppressed, or depressed. If anything, I have to step back sometimes and realize we're in something here that always goes the same way. And maybe it's meant to, in a way, right? Some kind of cosmic.
I think that is very agreeable. And the last thing you said, I also agree with. It's a cycle, but it doesn't change the fact that at this point in the cycle, a lot of people that used to not stand up, you kind of got to stand up or be set further down. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've stepped back. I've kind of changed my perspective with my health issues in a way, or at least taking a break. And I'm kind of like, hey, I just want to live a peaceful life, right? I just want to be able to do the normal, quote unquote, things in the modern day world. So I get it. But again, cause and effect persists. So it's not a judgment on anybody, right? It doesn't, make us one thing or the other. It really just comes down to, if we do these certain things, we get these certain results. And it would seem, with that statement comes another statement. If we do these other things, we get different results. So it's basically an opportunity, right? This isn't a judgment condemnation deal. This is an opportunity deal where anybody who wants to practice upholding true law and order, right, exercise their rights and live free, is able to do that and potentially produce a result, right, and continue to produce more opportunities for other opportunists, because that's all this is. During these times, we all get an opportunity. And certain people are opportunists at heart, and they say, you know what? I see the opportunity. I'm going to try something different here, because if not, we know where it's going to go anyway, right? But again, I'm not going to judge myself, and I'm not going to judge others, in the sense of nothing is guaranteed, right? And I've said that for the longest time. I'm going to do what I'm going to do until I don't. And that's because it's on me, right? Just like it is everyone else. Everyone has their own walk and their own journey. So no one can tell me what to do, when, why, and how, and I can't tell anybody else what to do. But we can sort of extrapolate on where this comes from and where it goes based on the objective experience. Emmanuel, your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, and then we got to get back to Donnie. I want to make sure we get through the state of confusion address.
Nah, I'm just ad-libbing here. I kind of wanted to add to what Thomas was saying earlier about they're definitely censoring, because I was down in the chat dropping some jewels and I was noticing none of it was coming up in the chat. So they're definitely editing in real time.
Well, we also seem to see, however this thing works, it seems to, when it comes to me and what we do here, it has its periods of time where it lets us live, so to speak, even gives us access to the algorithm, and then it has its periods where it kind of pulls back. So I'm not quite sure how that all works, or if there's anything or what it is that triggers it. And I've kind of just more and more as we move on through the years, I try to practice letting go of all that, right? Because it's out of my control. I'm not going to
Yeah, I've
alter
come,
who and what I am to fit in and be a part of it. I'm not going to stamp my feet and cry out because they deem me to not be a part of it. And I'm watching it with other folks as well, right? Someone who I was made aware of that I haven't listened to in probably over what, going on 10 years now, who's recently come back up on my feed. I don't know how that all works again, but Gerald Salente, perfect example of someone who's been on with Alex Jones, talks common sense to a certain extent, goes over history. I checked in with him the last couple weeks or so. It's pretty much like this broadcast. It's a different guy with a different voice essentially doing this broadcast. And he's lucky if he can get over 1.5 to 2,000 views in a 24-hour period. Okay, so we know that they're censoring. He's yelling and screaming over there saying they're censoring us, right? Trends Journal, they're censoring us. We know that. But again, in a way, that is an award, you could argue, right? That's the system's way of rewarding you and giving you an award saying, hey, you're probably one of the more in touch with reality, powerful voices out here who could make a change and is making a change. Therefore, we got to put you at the bottom, right? Especially at certain points in time on this journey, it seems energetically.
I get frustrated with it when I forget that there's something bigger at play here. We can't completely change what is supposed to play out, right? So like if we put our 2 cents in the mix and start exposing it might not play out the way it's intended to play out, if that makes sense. So like I'm at peace now with like you just said, when the system shuts me out and shuts me up and doesn't want to let me speak truth, it's just telling me, just stay in the back and watch what happens.
Well, and that's the thing too, right? Is like there's the world stage, which is like, out in public or venues like this to an extent. And then there's our personal sort of private lives, right? And that's why, over the past 5 years, I've felt almost instinctively or intuitionally this need to transition from going out of nowhere onto here with kind of a lot of fanfare and energy and going viral at one point to back to on the ground, right? Because the other part of it too is these devices, man. This living on the internet, this being on the internet now 12, 15, 18, 20 hours a fucking day, averaging, it cannot be good for self and other selves who are involved in this experience or this process. So I think that this place, these venues and this technology is good for what it is and what it's used for. And primarily to me, what it's used for is creating community off of here, if we can get that done, right? And then I speculate on how much we've been changed as beings, right? Like someone like myself raised over the past 36 years, how much we've been altered from supernaturally who we would have been to what we become, just interfacing with all this technology and the world stage constantly, and a bunch of people who we meet here regularly, but we don't really know each other and we're not involved in real life together, right? Beyond just appearing at these places and talking about certain things. So I think that's kind of, we're all going to start to get the mitochondrial upload, so to speak, where we start to realize, you know what, there's just not much here anymore for us in certain ways. We know the deal. We know what we need to do. And we get the opportunity once again to explore that on the ground in real life, right? I think that that's really the next stage of this, is as we lead up to 2029 and 2030 and potentially another greater depression event, potentially an economic restructuring event, politically restructuring, and all the rest of it, we have to start transitioning away from these venues and putting our time, energy, attention on people, places, and things that don't better ourselves in our life, and start working toward the next 5 years and the next 50 years of what life is going to look like and be like for us on the ground. And again, not out of a fear-based perspective, but out of a perspective of, hey, what else are we going to do, right? Over the past year or two with this health issue and just being tested and challenged and being forced to look at myself and everything again, I've become supremely, ironically, unmotivated and uninspired oftentimes to be here, to be focusing on these people, places, and things and talking about it, right? Because it's like, we got it. We know the deal. We've been given the insight. We know what we need to do. Let's do it. Or like you said, shut up and accept the consequences, right? And that's a reality that I think a lot of us, including myself, were unequipped to experience and deal with, right? To an extent. Because again, we've been raised on this constant perspective of we can't make a change. There is nothing we can do. If we want to be powerful and inspiring or co-creative on the ground, we have to be involved with some organization or big corporation or some other endeavor. And it's like, no, we don't. We can actually start small, right? One piece at a time, work together, create something for ourselves and each other that is lasting, and potentially weather the storm that is coming, right? As they say, trust the plan, storm coming. I think there's something to be said for all that rhetoric, right? And what it points to. I just think the problem is wrong and the solution is wrong. And that's, again, by design. Your thoughts, fellas? I want to get back to this state of confusion address. And yes, as G points out, that is exactly what it is. My life for the longest time now, and the more that I live, has become more and more of what seems to be a quasi schizophrenic break with what is purported to be reality, right? Not in the sense that I'm hearing voices and talking to myself, but in a way, it's almost like hearing my inner voice talking to me, reminding me of what needs to be done, and the fact that all this stuff we're looking at, all these people, places, and things, is all just one big show, one big zoo circus. That's why I come here as P.T. Barnum, right? Barnum is in animals, P.T. is in the circus ringleader. So I get it, G. I've had that experience oftentimes that I'm here, right? I'm in the world, but not of it. And I'm here for a certain understanding and certain purpose. And then the other side of that is, if I'm in the world but not of it, I also have to spend the rest of my life here, right? So how much of my life do I get to live in peace or even enjoy, dare I say, right? As if pleasure is a complete enemy here, rather than a complementary aspect of purpose. Go ahead, fellas, if you got anything. I want to get back.
No, it's like you said, we got front row seats to the freak show, it's become a simulation for me as well. Tom?
Policy that we just enunciated, and Congress should unite and enact this common sense, country-saving legislation right now, and it should be before anything else happens.
Phone line's pretty quiet today, I think, because we're out of the algorithm.
And the reason they don't want to do it, why would anybody not want voter ID? One reason, because they want to cheat. There's only one reason. They make up all excuses. They say it's racist. They come up with things you almost say, what imagination they have. They want to cheat. They have cheated. And their policy is so bad that the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And we're going to stop it. We have to stop it, John.
Got to get everybody in contract.
Brave service members
who
helped achieve this stunning turnaround was 20-year-old West Virginia Army National Guard Specialist Sarah Beckstrom. After a 4-month deployment, she voluntarily extended her service, and her rank was going to be lifted. She was doing so well. They were so proud of her. But the very next day, she was on patrol near the White House when she was ambushed and shot in the head by a terrorist monster from Afghanistan. Shouldn't have been in our country. And all because she wore the uniform of our nation, she was shot. He traveled here because he didn't like people wearing our uniform. He was sick and deranged, shouldn't have been in our country. Sarah Beckstrom died in order to defend our capital, and we are honored to be joined by her wonderful parents, Gary and Evalie. Your daughter was a true American patriot, and she will be greatly missed. She was a great person. I saw reports on her. They've never seen anything like her.
You got to love the fact that these people never consider that any of these events could be wind-up toys or operatives. It'll never occur to them, and they'll never consider it if it does occur to them, right? It just can't happen. Can't be a thing. Always a lone gunman with an agenda.
So sorry. Thank you very much.
Totally.
A great young lady. I saw reports that were like, perfect. She was perfect. Serving alongside Sarah that day was Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. The terrorist shot Andrew in the head, and no one thought he could possibly make it. The two of them, Sarah and Andrew, both shot violently in the head. Neither was expected to make it. They weren't even given a chance, except his wonderful mother, named Melody, who I spoke to the same night. And she was so positive. The doctors thought that Andrew was gone. But his mother said, no, Mr. President, Andrew will be fine. He's going to make it. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, he was given almost no chance. She said, I have no doubt, sir, he's going to be okay. This was a conversation that I had with her that night, with her son laying helplessly in bed, blood all over. Everybody is praying, she said, sir, he will be okay. The doctors didn't understand what she was saying. And after looking at the results of the damage done, neither did I. She was so strong and conclusive that even Andrew's great father felt she didn't really understand the gravity of the situation. But she turned out to be right. Right, Melanie? She turned out to be right. Amazing, actually. I said, where does this woman come from? She's the most positive person I've ever met. With God's help, Andrew has battled back from the edge of death, and we're talking about the edge of death, on his way to a miraculous recovery. He's got a little work to do, but he's doing great. Nice to see you. He's a good-looking guy. Nice to see you. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you very much.
The terrorists want your rights and freedom, man. Terrorists want your lifestyle. Oh, I heard.
So, Andrew, while you're up, now I'm going to ask a highly respected General James Seward to present Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf and the great family of Sarah Beckstrom with the award created by our late, great President George Washington himself. It's called the Purple
I just want to
Heart.
say me and probably half your audience is not listening to this pedophile.
It's fake news, Tom. Fake news.
Daddy's home.
In January, elite American warriors carried out one of the most complex, spectacular feats of military competence and power in world history. No one's seen anything like it. Foreign leaders, I won't tell you who, called me and they said, very impressive, very impressive.
Trump's a Canadian anyway.
They all watched.
Fuck.
They saw what happened. This is a different fighting force than we had years ago when we fought to tie. You know, it's a great fighting force. I'm so proud of it. Look at Space Force. Space Force is my baby. As we did that, my baby is becoming so important.
Greatest fighting force in the world hasn't won a war in the last 10 wars it's been to, by the way. We'll just ignore that.
And America's armed forces overwhelmed all defenses and utterly defeated an enemy, good fighters, to end the reign of outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro and bring him to face American justice.
Weird you didn't bring Fauci or Hillary or the rest of these people to justice, but Maduro was top of the list.
Security of the United States, and it also opens up a bright new beginning for the people of Venezuela.
Totally.
We're working closely with the new president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, to unleash extraordinary economic gains for both of our countries and to bring new hope to those who have suffered so terribly. They really did suffer. With us tonight is Alejandro Gonzalez. She grew up in a tight-knit Venezuelan family and was especially close to her beloved uncle Enrique. But after Enrique ran for office and opposed Maduro, he was kidnapped by Maduro's security forces and thrown into the regime's really infamous prison in Caracas. Alejandro feared she would never see her uncle again. She feared for her own life also. But since the raid, we have worked with the new leadership, and they have ordered the closure of that vile prison and released hundreds of political prisoners already, with more to come. Alejandro, I'm pleased to inform you that not only has your uncle been released, but he is here tonight. We brought him over to celebrate his freedom with you in person. Enrique, please come down.
Maybe we should ask Enrique about all the people at Guantanamo who are still sitting there without due process. When our corporation does it, when our dictator does it, it's different. That's all you need to know.
It's like they're doing to Venezuela what they did to Iraq and Afghanistan. First, we called them the freedom fighters, and one of the presidents like dedicated a shuttle launching to them. And then fast forward the clock 30 years later, then they're Taliban and Al Qaeda.
Thank you, Enrique. Have a good time. Nice to have you back, Enrique. There were many heroes on that January raid to capture Maduro. Really great
There
heroes.
you go.
It was very dangerous. They knew we were coming. They were all set. But the deeds of one warrior that night will live forever in the eternal chronicles of military valor. Chief Warrant Officer 5, Eric Slover, planned the mission and was the flight lead in the cockpit of the first helicopter. A big, beautiful, powerful helicopter. It was a massive Chinook carrying, as you can imagine, many, many American warfighters. Wearing the dog tags, his wife Amy had blessed with holy water before he left. She knew it was going to be a rough one. Eric steered the Chinook under the cover of night and descended swiftly upon Maduro's heavily protected military fortress. This was a major military installation, protected by thousands of soldiers and guarded by Russian and Chinese military technology. How did that work out? Not too good. While preparing to land, enemy machine guns fired from every angle, and Eric was hit very badly in the leg and hip, one bullet after another. He absorbed 4 agonizing shots, shredding his leg into numerous pieces. And yet, despite the fact that the use of his legs was vital to successful helicopter flight, legs are the most important part of flying a helicopter. To deliver the many commandos who would capture and detain Maduro was the only thing Eric was thinking about. Then, even as he was gushing blood, which was flowing back down the aisle, helicopter lands at a steep angle. The machine gun stood right in front of him. They were right in front of him, two machine gunners who escaped the wrath of the previous planes. Eric maneuvered his helicopter with all of those lives and souls to face the enemy and let his gunners eliminate the threat. Turned the helicopter around so the gunners could take care of business, saving the lives of his fellow warriors from what could have been a catastrophic crash deep in enemy territory.
It sounds like he's reading.
Only
his
after
grandchildren
safely
a bedtime
landing the
story.
helicopter with all the warriors aboard in the exact right spot, which was vital to the mission. Probably would have had to maybe cancel the mission if that didn't happen. Eric told his co-pilot, also wounded, but not as gravely, to take over. I'm about ready to pass out. The success of the entire mission and the lives of his fellow warriors hinge on Eric's ability to take the searing pain. It was unbelievable what's happened to his legs of the bullets and keep on flying and landing, and people knew what was happening. Everybody in the back of the helicopter knew because they saw the blood pouring down the aisle. Chief Warrant Officer Slover is still recovering from his serious wounds, but I'm thrilled to say that he is here tonight with his wife, Amy, Eric, and Amy. Come on in.
Thanks, Dr. Still.
U.S. slave, U.S. slave. You could just feel the propaganda being uploaded in the average citizen slave watching this on Fox News. Terrorists,
So we have
Maduro, ICE, and immigrants. Going
In
right down the
recognition
list.
of Eric's actions above and beyond the call of duty, I would now like to ask General Jonathan Braga to present Chief Warrant Officer Slover with our nation's highest military award, the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Nobody licks boots like we do. Nobody does fascism like we do. There's no denying it. Yay, centralized military.
Navy fighter pilot Royce Williams served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, flying more than 220 missions. In the skies over Korea in 1952, Royce was in the dogfight of a lifetime, legendary dogfight. Flying through blizzard conditions, his squadron was ambushed.
He doesn't
by
even know where he
seven
is
Soviet
right now,
fighter
but that's
planes.
okay.
It was his first aerial
wife is
combat
reminding
of the
him.
war, and despite being massively outnumbered and outgunned, Royce led the takedown of 4 enemy jets and almost destroyed the others, vanquishing his adversaries while taking 263 bullets to his own plane and being seriously hurt. His story was secret for over 50 years. He didn't even want to tell his wife, but the legend grew and grew. But tonight, at 100 years old, this brave Navy captain is finally getting the recognition he deserves. He was a legend long before this evening. Royce, please stand up, and I will ask the First Lady of the United States to present Captain Royce Williams with his Congressional Medal of Honor.
Yay, another foreign PSYOP war that we never should have been involved in. Yay. All things anti-American. Yay. Currency wars, trade wars, world wars. Yay. Imagine being so pathetic and empty that you actually feel camaraderie over events like this. Like this is the glue holding the house of cards together. These events right here. This is what we're doing this all for, people. For Royce, and the hero. Maybe Royce didn't want to tell his story because he realized they're all stunningly full of shit.
Gotta love the got you by the throat medal.
Well, this is Royce's big moment. He lived his whole life to get to this moment. We love these people.
Thank you, Royce, and thank you, Eric.
That was it. That's the highlight. I didn't expect that ending. Such an abrupt ending from the Associated Depressed. Your thoughts, gentlemen? I use that term loosely, of course. You know, questions, comments, concern your own thoughts, historical references, whatever you got. We'll do some breaking slave news.
When I was in the military, I used to check out of those dog and pony shows. There's something in the air that just it puts a face like this and on me, and I can't hide it when I'm in those venues like that. So I check out. I don't even hear what they say.
Well, that's all of us who aren't really enthralled and excited by the cult-like dynamic of just getting together to suck our own dick, essentially, because that's all that is. Like, you know, it's the old joke. If I could suck my own dick, I'd never leave the house. That's essentially all of what politics is, you know? We suck our own dick and then blame everybody else on the quote-unquote other side for why everything's going bad and wrong. And again, you know, it's... Go ahead.
I was going to say, when you can see his diapers every speech, when the camera pans out enough to you can see his crotch area, you can tell he's wearing diapers every speech. And then you go through the Epstein files and you know why that's the case. It's just a different fucking energy. And a lot of people avoid those. You know, there's pastors and priests that say it's not good for your spirit to look at that shit. And they may be right. Because
I just
it
want to
is
remind
fucked,
everybody
and
that
it will
I
make
also,
men like you and I want to kill them.
I just want to remind everyone also that I also wear diapers for every broadcast because I've just gotten so comfortable being defecated on and defecating on myself and calling it something different that just become part of what I do, what we do here on America. So, Tom, I'm not going to have any negative speech toward myself and Donald Trump donning the diaper.
I don't know what to do about it because I'm a man of God. But here's the thing: is God is giving me mixed signals right fucking now.
You know, you say that you say you're a man of God, but you don't vote. You know, you're not paying taxes to fund the steel back of the steel, right? We have to fund the steel back of the steel.
Much like Jesus, I was too busy braiding a whip for a day.
Oh, it's because you're a very violent person, Tom. You know, you're one of the folks who this nation is threatened by. There's a danger to our democracy, and it's violent people like you.
I apologize to y'all for your feelings, but I do not apologize to my victims. They deserved it.
Again, Tom, if you go back and look at the meme, it's obvious why, because you bring up this Jesus character, it's obvious why this Jesus character was put to death when he was, and it's because he didn't comply. Okay? If he'd have just complied, Jesus would have lived a very long, safe, prosperous life, and there would be more that we know about him. So
He might
time was
even be wearing
way
diapers.
too short, too soon.
Right. He might even be wearing diapers running the western half of the earth.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, yeah, me either.
Great, we're on the same page here. All right, let's get to some breaking slave news. Rather abrupt ending to the state of confusion address, as it were. I got a couple folks here that I have to thank. They're way too good to me, and if I don't give them attention, they may leave me, like so many before and so many after. Donnie knows that. I know that. We love these people. These are great people, amazing people. What's one person? Alan. Thank you, Mr. Allen, for your contribution and support. He writes, good to see you, Paul. Prayers and blessings always on your health and well-being, sir. Yeah, I have a feeling that with this new regime, this new energy, these new diapers that I and others have, we're going to make some great changes here with ourselves and each other. And we're going to enjoy an immense era of prosperity almost immediately, right? It's been going so good and so great lately that I can't imagine it getting any more gooder or greater, but it will. I have faith in that. We're doing a lot to make that happen. Donnie just laid that all out. So, ICE whistleblower, they're teaching cadets to violate the Constitution. Well, Mr. Schwank, the man's name is Ryan Schwank. You know, we're way past that at this point. But we'll go to Mr. Schwank to get his commentary because apparently it's breaking news that the ICE agency is teaching their cadets to violate the Constitution. Imagine what's going to happen when folks finally realize the Constitution has already been amended ad infinitum, ad nauseum, has already been violated from its original perspective, right? The spirit of the law has already been trounced upon and violated, as it were. But folks haven't realized that yet. We're not at that point yet. So. And again, that's just part of living a life of being conscious and aware. You're always anywhere from 3 to 5 to 50 years ahead of the majority. So maybe another 50 years here, the U.S. citizen slaves will finally realize their Constitution, right, and the protections that it supposedly offers as a contract have been overwritten, right? And that's what's led to this situation. So we got to get back to the spirit of the law rather than the letter of the code. If the spirit of the law can be overwritten by the letter of the code by corrupt officials, well, then sky's the limit to where we go when it comes to tyranny, treason, subversion, and all the rest of it. So again, we used to have a nation that was prized for its basis of rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith. Now we're supposedly a nation who's prized for our ability to be strong and tough and use policy and code to force it on everybody and expand taxation and do centralized militaries and centralized banking. That's what makes America great. See, it's one big holographic, reflective humiliation irony ritual where everything they say America is now great for and known for was the exact opposite of what we were supposed to be practicing and doing, right? But it couldn't be any other way. Everything is perfect in its imperfection.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator Blumenthal, Representative Garcia, members of the committee. My name is Ryan Schwank. I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution.
Can you guys hear that?
When I joined ICE on August 1st, 2020.
Yes.
as an assistant chief counsel. I followed that oath for 4.5 years, working side by side with ICE officers. And I followed it when I resigned on February 13th, 2026, a little over a week ago, so that I could speak to you today. I am here because I am duty-bound to report the legally required training program at the ICE Academy is deficient, defective, and broken. 5 months ago, I was asked to teach the law to new cadets at the ICE Academy in Glencoe, Georgia, where ICE is training its new, inexperienced recruits. I volunteered, those without law enforcement training, I volunteered to take on this assignment based on my experience in law enforcement oversight, including at the state and local level prior to my work with ICE. On my first day, I received secretive orders to teach new cadets to violate the Constitution by entering homes without a judicial warrant. For the last 5 months, I watched ICE dismantle the training program, cutting 240 hours of vital classes from a 584-hour program. Classes that teach the Constitution, our legal system, firearms training, the use of force, lawful arrests, proper detention, and the limits of officers' authority. For example, they ceased all of the legal instructions regarding use of force. This means that cadets are not taught what it means to be objectively reasonable, the very standard which the law requires them to meet when deciding whether or not to use deadly force. Our jobs as instructors are to teach them so well that they can make split-second decisions about what they can and cannot do in life or death situations. Yet, in the name of churning out an endless stream of officers, DHS leadership has dismantled the academic and practical tests that we need to know if cadets can safely and lawfully perform their job. All to satisfy an administration demanding they train thousands of new officers before the end of the year. DHS told the public that new cadets receive all the training they need to perform their duties, that no critical material or standards have been cut. This is a lie. ICE made the program shorter, and they removed so many essential parts that what remains is a dangerous husk. No reasonable person would believe a training program suddenly cut nearly in half could meet the minimum legal requirements. These aren't abstract rules. They're required in regulations such as 8 CFR 287G1. Congress requires immigration officers to meet minimum standards for a reason. ICE cannot lawfully perform their duties, make arrests, carry weapons, and use force without passing appropriate training. New cadets are graduating from the academy despite widespread concerns among training staff that even in the final days of training, the cadets cannot demonstrate a solid grasp of the tactics or the law required to perform their jobs. Without reform, ICE will graduate thousands of new officers who do not know their constitutional duty, do not know the limits of their authority, and who do not have the training to recognize an unlawful order. That should scare everyone. DHS assures the public these cadets can get the job training on to compensate for anything missing at the academy. This is a lie. Many graduates go to their home office just long enough to get their gun, their badge, and their body armor before deploying to places like Minneapolis and other ICE operations with minimal supervision. It's shocking that anyone would think this is safe or responsible. And this pattern of lies is not isolated. It extends beyond the training program to include deceiving Congress and the public about the rules followed by ICE officers once they graduate. On my first day at the academy, I was instructed to read and return a memo in my supervisor's presence, which claimed ICE officers could enter homes without a judicial warrant. The acting ICE director authorized the very conduct that DHS, in its own 2025 legal training materials, had called the chief evil against which the wording of the Fourth Amendment is directed. That is, physical entry of the home without consent or a proper warrant. Never in my career had I ever received such a blatantly unlawful order, nor one conveyed in such a troubling manner. Incredibly, I was being shown this memo in secret by my supervisor, who made sure that I understood that disobedience could cost me my job. ICE is teaching cadets to violate the Constitution, and they were attempting to cloak it in secrecy by demanding that I lie about it. I am here to convey to the public the danger that is being created at the ICE Academy. I know from my conversations with many facility members, many of the faculty, that I am not alone in my fear. Law enforcement is a deadly serious business. It is not a place for shortcuts. Deficient training can and will get people killed. It can and will lead to unlawful arrests, violations of constitutional rights, and a fundamental loss of public trust in law enforcement. ICE is lying to Congress and the American people about the steps it is taking to ensure its 12,000 new officers faithfully uphold the Constitution and can perform their jobs.
All right, I'm going to leave it there. We got Aaron. I'm going to bring him in. This outrage is afoot. It's almost as if that guy, Mr. Schwank, and everybody else can't come to realize and figure out that all of this is about is destroying essentially the Constitution and the spirit of the law that made America great. That's all democracy and the left wing and right wing are actually about, is interfering with the individual's rights and property and doing it in the name of supposedly keeping everybody safe and legal, right? We got to make sure that everybody's legal and safe. Your thoughts, Aaron? Questions, comments, concerns, your own experiences?
I'm just popping on. I saw you were on. Can you hear me okay? Am I lagging? Okay.
Maybe a little bit, but
so,
it's decent.
Life is good. I feel good. Good things are always happening to me.
Right.
That's it. I was excited. I thought about you, and I was wondering, like, in the last couple of days, I was like, it's probably about time. And so, to my happy surprise, you were here on. And then I saw Jack Talcott, like when I first got on. I've been messing with this for a minute, but I saw him and I was like, that's cool. And then I see Tommy here, and that's cool. I don't know that who else that is.
Emmanuel.
What is it? Emmanuel.
Been here a while.
That?
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that you don't know is telling.
Well, I only catch what I get when I get what I catch, and I'm still in the process of working on. Yeah, life is good. I perceive it that way. So, no, I haven't really caught everything that you're doing, because I was just, as soon as I saw that you were on, I've been trying to get on and I've been having issues. So I wasn't even sure that I'd be able to talk on here. But my message to everybody is life is good. I feel good, and good things are always happening to me. And if you don't know that already, you should, and practice it. And good to see you, Paul. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for bringing some positivity, right, to the broadcast, as you're known for doing.
I go.
So I'll accept that.
I don't have a choice. Yeah. Well, you don't have a choice to do the broadcast. I don't have a choice to be the wingman and be like, this guy's awesome. Yeah, that's what I do. I'm like, good job. Keep up the good work.
Your thoughts?
Tons. I just think back to my first experience seeing Aaron on this broadcast.
Glitched.
And I love who he is now.
Okay. So that's it?
I mean, yeah.
Thank you for that.
I don't want to.
I love who I am now too.
Are you accepting the perspective of life is good, you feel good, good things are always happening to you?
I mean, that is a very spiritual and truthful projective. You create your own reality, and he's aligning with that truth. That is a real thing, so I can't argue with that either.
All right, see a very different energy and perspective here on the Unslaved broadcast nowadays. We're
Life is
embracing,
good.
right? I feel good. Good things are
Good
always
things
happening
are
to
always
me.
happening to
Yeah,
me.
and then
Life
I take a
is good.
Paxil. Usually, I take a
What's
Paxil.
Paxil?
Well, please, for those who need to know, it's on a need to know basis, right? It's a little
Sounds like a
pick me
drug.
up. Yeah, well, we're making America great again, beyond just legalities and immigrant perspectives. Sometimes we need a little pharmaceutical action to feel as positive as we could feel, right? So, this is all part of the Make America Great Again movement. Pharmaceuticals for everybody. Okay, Social Security's intact, Medicaid, Medicare, and pharmaceuticals. That reminds me, it just triggered a thought for me. I got it up here. Let's just get to it. RFK Jr. defends Trump move to protect pesticide he tied to chronic disease epidemic. So, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. recently defended a move by President Donald Trump to protect and boost the production of a precursor chemical for pesticides, which just 2 years ago, RFK Jr. said was a major contributor to America's chronic disease epidemic. And if elected, he would ban it. So more bullshit, more promises that we're doing the opposite of, but that's okay. I'm sure there's an explanation. Citing national defense imperatives, Trump passed an executive order earlier this week to protect the precursor element used in the production of an herbicide known as glyphosate. Right? So part of Make America Healthy Again is we're going to get rid of glyphosate. Actually, we're not. We're going to promote it and produce more of it because why not? Trump's executive order described glyphosate-based herbicides as a cornerstone of the United States agricultural productivity. So some folks used to think that maybe it was even like illegal immigrants who were the cornerstone of agricultural productivity, hardworking American farmers, maybe even some of those animals that they used to use to do husbandry, right? To draw the tools in order to farm and do agriculture. We're now learning as of late that the cornerstone, and this is quote unquote, right from Donnie Trump's mouth, a cornerstone of agricultural production is in fact glyphosate. Okay. So the directive created furor among proponents of the Make America Healthy Again agenda. Just 2 years ago in June 2024, when Kennedy was still running for president, he posted on X, formerly Twitter, that glyphosate is one of the likely culprits in America's chronic disease epidemic. Herbicide glyphosate is one of the likely culprits in America's chronic disease epidemic, much more widely used here than in Europe. Shockingly, much of our exposure comes from its use as a desiccant on wheat, not as an herbicide. And there it goes straight into our bodies. And that is the RFK Jr. quote from Twitter.
You know what's funny about all of that? You see videos all over the internet. There's human flesh in the McDonald's burger and Burger King. The buns don't rot and all of this and that. But if you check McDonald's and Burger King stock, it just went up. So like people are paying for this shit. It's what comes with the use of the dollar, right? It's a benefit and a privilege for you to go to McDonald's, Walmart, and all the rest of it. But it's not a right for you to go till the earth, grow your own wheat, knead it, make some bread. It only requires 3 ingredients. Why is there 50? You leave the loaf out for a month. It doesn't rot. What do you think is going on? But the people just pay for their own genocide, slavery, and death.
That's how you know we're doing good.
Yeah.
Right? When we're doing really good, like the best we could ever do, we get these brand new fancy chemicals that keep us all safe, like glyphosate, and we start eating people. Okay? Because there's such a boom, right? Everything is so great. There's just so many extra people from all this booming going on that we can afford to eat some of them.
100%.
Part of
It's
Make
done on
America
purpose. it's, at this point they're putting it in our face on purpose. Although at a certain point it was just because it was easier for you. They know you're going to do the easier thing, so they give you the trash there. I mean, you look at all these online jobs, a bunch of people that could never work the job that makes society sustainable.
I'm right here, Thomas. I'm right here. Okay, relax. This is why you see, guys, see why I shy away from panels nowadays, because I try to get into all the ways that we're doing big and great things, and Tom indirectly insults me to my face while I'm promoting the eating of people. Okay,
I knew it would come there, but
only eat people when it's at its zenith, when it's at its highest and best point. Right, that's the only time that it can afford to eat members of its own society. Because everything is so great. We're so prosperous, right? Everybody's got a higher standard of living. We no longer need all the rest of these extra people, so we may as well eat them.
You're right. And one person we don't want to eat is you, because when you do choose to come on, I think, at least for me, I see someone else that is close with God, so it allows me to get closer with God. So I think that's at least half of your viewers. That's what they like. They see, proper instruction motivates people pop up, and they're like, fuck yeah. Now I can put the bullshit aside and get back to what matters, at least for a little bit.
Now, even that, some might say, is complete bullshit, because I may not know God. I may just be so conscious of experiencing the darker sides of self and life, right? So close to the devil that it almost gives the perspective that I am, in fact, godly or holy. Right? It's almost some sort of weird reflective.
We're all rotten in some way.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the bad side of it. I'm talking about the good side of it.
Like glyphosate eating people. Right. I get that. Aaron, your thoughts? Emmanuel, your thoughts?
Yeah. Where do we go from here when it's all out in the open, where people already know what's going on?
I'm just trying to find a healthy balance between Kuru disease and staying healthy. I don't want to eat too much of the burgers, because then I get the shakes.
Thing that we
Go ahead.
The biggest thing we can focus on is growing our own stuff. Not
right.
I think you're lagging. That's what that is.
Can't fuck with it, Can't fuck with it. Can't stay on a roll. Can't get on a godly vibration. Got to put some sort of something to stifle that vibration. Got to do it.
All right. Well, let's go to since Mr. Schwank brought it up, let's go to the article here referencing the immigration situation. Apparently, a few more U.S. citizens dragged out of their house because we're searching for illegals. Immigration officers assert sweeping power to enter homes without a judge's warrant, memo says. Federal immigration officers.
They could just say, I got ripped out of my house just a couple weeks ago. I got swatted. They were like, oops, wrong house. That's all they need to say. We got a call. Someone waving a gun. We know there's one.
Well, you look kind of Mexican and kind of illegal. I will say that. Like, there's been times where you come on camera on this broadcast, and part of me thinks maybe like I put a tip in or something. They got bonuses going around, right? Because you do look kind of unsafe and a little suspicious. At least for the times, you know what kind of times we live in, right? Nowadays.
Right.
Federal immigration officers are asserting sweeping power to forcibly enter people's homes without a judge's warrant. Who needs a warrant, right? Because for the longest time, you see how they do with my channel, where the United States citizen slaves show up. They call me a terrorist and a sovereign citizen, and they say, Paulie boy, the cops don't need on the side of the road a judicial warrant in order to make a judicial determination and take people and property. They don't need to do that. We're so far down the road here now that we just trust authoritarians implicitly that they're infallible and always going to do the right thing. And we give them an unlimited scope of plenipotentiary power, I think it's referred to as. So essentially, they can do whatever they want. We don't need to follow due process because, again, you know how unsafe the times we live in are. And these are our police, right? This is the thin blue line that stands between law and order and absolute chaos. The memo authorizes ICE officers to use force to enter residence based solely on a narrow administrative warrant. Oh, administrative procedure. See, we're sovereign citizens and we're just speaking nonsense until they do the articles admitting they're doing administrative commercial procedure and presuming everybody to be part of this commercial endeavor. So everybody gets to be regulated with policy and code. Because why not? If you believe it, we'll achieve it. That's all this is. They just, over decades and decades and decades, keep doing these meetings to convince all of you folks that you're a part of this commercial endeavor that they call democratic society and United States corporation, and that you no longer have rights, and that the whole endeavor of living itself, not only the nation, but just life itself, is being kept safe by these service providers. And we don't need due process. We don't need constitutional protections. We don't need any of that. And we're so far down the line, that's what the conservatives are yelling. That we no longer need law and order, actually, while claiming they need law and order. We no longer need due process. Who gives a fuck about the Constitution? And let's be clear, the Constitution has been frauded and amended. We have the clip up there. I want to get to it today because I've talked about it many times, but I don't think I've gotten to it yet, where Donnie Trump admits the 14th Amendment is for escaped slaves or the babies of slaves, interestingly enough. So it's sovereign citizen mumbo jumbo till they say it or repeat it. Then all of a sudden it becomes real. But the reason they're saying it is to twist it against the individual. Right? It's always the case. It's always a it's not real till it is, but if it is real, right? If it is real, here's the reason that it's real, because this is what we're going to do with it, right? Always the game. We love that game here. We love that game of it's not real till we say it is, and then watch everybody accept that reality and then repeat it. And then we have to correct them. And it gives us something to do. Perpetually, in perpetuity, right? Indefinitely. It just constantly gives us something to do or a source of entertainment. For years, immigrant advocates, legal aid groups, and local governments have urged people not to open their doors to immigration agents unless they are shown a warrant signed by a judge. That guidance is rooted in Supreme Court rulings. Again, we need a group of individuals to get around in business suits and dresses in order to make a decision on whether or not public servants can walk into your fucking house or not whenever they want. We desperately need, because we couldn't come to that conclusion or that decision on our own. We couldn't use the spirit of the law and common sense to make a determination on what's appropriate and what's not. Thank God we have these people in our lives indirectly. So yeah, the guidance is rooted in Supreme Court rulings that generally prohibit law enforcement from entering a home without judicial approval. The ICE directive directly undercuts that advice at a time when arrests are accelerating under the administration's immigration crackdown. And of course, if it wasn't immigration, it'd be drugs. And if it's not immigration and drugs, it's terrorism. And if it's not terrorism, it's, pick your poison, right? Pick the way that they're going to convince you to give up your property rights and your future. Go ahead, Emmanuel.
I think what has been lost over time is the distinction between what's public and what's private. Because back in the day, we used to build forts, right? We put a huge fence up. It was hard to get over. And now we barely have fences. Now these cops come right up to your door with a crowbar and just crack the door open. It's almost like we're completely out in the public, and there's a presumption that we are solely in the public. So when you're in the public, you need to create privacy. And this is where we all forgot, like, oh yeah, my ass is hanging out. I got to lift my pants up, because if not, I'm going to get fucked. So like, got to create privacy, right? So
that's one of the strongest things I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, it's just the inversion of reality. If we can put cameras in the home everywhere and make everybody tracked and traced and a part of this idea of what we call the public, right? And we can convince people that private property no longer exists, well, then the private person no longer exists. Private endeavors no longer exist. Everything is a member of the public. And the public, of course, is a member of the corporation. So, yeah, I would agree with that. I think we've been saying that here for the longest time. All it is word and term games to invert reality, to make you believe it's something that it's not. and vice versa, right? So,
and if you're paying just a little bit of attention, right, if your awareness is slightly above the average scale, you'll start to realize America and most of the world has been built off of private member associations. Everyone else that's just hanging out in the public, they're fending for themselves. They're out there. They're suffering. They're cold. They're freezing. They're hungry. They're starving. They don't have a roof over their head, figuratively. But all the PMA members, all the private member association people, they're taken care of. They got brotherhood. They got community, and they end up in good places. Just saying.
Yeah, well, ironically, that's what the corporation we call government has always been and will always be, is the parasitic class who can't create or produce anything on their own. So they have to take it from others, right? So how do we do that? We convince them they need us. That's all it is. It's all it always has been, always will be.
And it's also a play on most human beings on this earth. I'd say 80% at least. They want to be a part of something. I'm sure if you look in yourself, you want to do that as well. You want to be on the good side or the bad side, whatever it is. It's going to happen that someone's going to try to be slick and try to get you involved with the group that has a goal that is not aligned with what you truly want. So I just say, I mean, I'm not trying to keep people away from organizing. I'm just saying, just like Paul has always said, and I agree with it, you have to be a one-man army, because then when you include yourself in the next army, you are an actual force to be contended with, not just someone who's looking for protection.
All right, let's go to the following, or the aligning story here, since we're on the topic. U.S. citizen says ICE removed him from his home in his underwear without a warrant. See, what I love about this is, for the longest time, they said we were all crazy and that U.S. citizenry is something you want. You want to have that. You want to proclaim that. It doesn't seem like it's benefiting the individual at this point, or the group, right? And I think that's precisely what the spiritual test is really all about here. Is you guys think there's protection in identifying as this, even though I and others have been revealing what it really is. And the more you keep identifying as this, the more they're going to keep taking your property and rights and telling you it's for your own good. Because again, as we go over here many times, U.S. citizen is essentially one who owes allegiance to the corporation, is considered a business entity. So you're not sovereign. You don't have your own free will. You aren't considered a being under God with natural rights. You are, again, a member of the public, and you are subject to statute, policy, and code. So they're gaslighting you while they're telling you, we got to make sure everybody's a citizen. Citizens are the ones who are protected and kept safe. They're harassing all the citizens to get them deeper into contract to proclaim who and what they are to feed this beast. Go ahead, Emmanuel.
Yes, you brought that point back up, and I was channeling the same thing you're tapping into. I feel like they're using this whole, like, you got to be a citizen and you can't be illegal, so that everyone proudly waves that citizenship banner, right? When the Gestapo go around and saying, are you a citizen? Are you a Jew? Are you a yes, okay, so come to the ghettos. We need to put you somewhere because you're part of the problem. And the citizenship is the problem in America, because everyone's abandoned the Americanhood of being an American, and then they took membership of something that's foreign, which is by definition a traitor to the American de jure republic. When everyone finds out, when there's enough Americans back on the republic, they're going to realize, hey, these citizens, this thing called U.S. citizen, that's the problem, and we need to contain it.
Well, this is, again, what came up in my mind was this yellow star idea. At some point, maybe we revisit that. But this claim of who or what we are for safety, that eventually during tyrannical times gets stripped anyway, and then you get treated like an enemy combatant, because again, if you're not with us, you're against us. So I searched it here, I pulled it up, but I didn't go through it. Yeah,
And
maybe it's something I'll go through and I'll revisit at some point. Go ahead.
Historically, the people who were saved from the historic Holocaust, right, you had the proud Jews that didn't want to give up that identity and were like, oh yeah, I'm a Jew, okay, and then they said, well, put this little band on your arm here and we're going to tell you where you can go, where you can't go, and what you can do and cannot do. The not so proud ones changed their names to Christian names, shipped all their shit to New York, and kind of were vouchsafed from all of that. So like we're gonna see that, I feel, again here in America sometime in the near future, where everyone's gonna be, and they have the infrastructure already set up. Obama signed the executive orders to have the FEMA camp set up with the grave liners and all that. They didn't spend those billions of dollars not to use it. So
well, again, it's like almost like we went into this reality and then came out and then went back to normal, and everyone forgot about the last 5 years. So I always bring that up, the last 5 years. It's not something that's coming and is speculative and on its way. They just use the banner of United Citizens and World Citizens to do medical experiments on everybody. So we're already here. It's already shown itself. It's in the room. It's out in the open. And worse than that, it's not only shown itself in the room and out in the open, it's largely supported and or accepted by the majority, right? So again, this is all the same. They say that I sensationalize when I compare all these world events in the modern day to the Holocaust. Right? They say it's sensationalism. No, it's not only not sensationalism, it's exactly the same dynamics, even more expounded upon and widespread, accepted by the whole world at this point. That, hey, we're going to get you all to call yourselves something and carry your papers around and identify, right? Identify as something other than man or woman with rights under God. And then we're going to do a bunch of economic and biological experiments on everybody, which that was and still is the mainstream history of what the Holocaust experience was, right? Status, standing, jurisdiction, and then invariably, inevitably, the spiritual test of what won't you all go along with, what won't you all repeat, and what won't you all accept. So I've again, as much as it sounds crazy and it's almost like I don't want to say it or I'd like to get away from it at times, that's all of what this place, at least on a certain level, seems to be, or these experiences. It's not all that's available to us here, right, in the universe. But historically, that's what history seems to be over and over again. It's just one big cyclical test of what will we and won't we go along with.
Terrence McKenna talked about that. He mentioned this thing called time wave before he passed away, and he like created some kind of computer algorithm to map it out. And they asked him, "Oh, when is it all going to end?" And he said, "Well, somewhere around December 21st, 2021." And they're like, "Well, what do you think is going to happen after that?" He's like, "I don't know, but I would pay close attention because you're going to start seeing all of history compressing into months, weeks, days, seconds until we reach some type of eschaton." That's what his prediction was.
And he wasn't the only one.
Right. I mean, there's been several people that have had this inkling throughout time. I mean, he's not the only one. You're correct. Just wanted to point that out because.
No, it's true. I saw some bullshit one time. It's probably total bullshit, but it was like some sort of Talcott CIA engineered fucking YouTube video that said, look, we can't predict past a certain point because shit just goes all white. There's a big change we can't deal with. And none of the algorithms can figure it out.
Yeah, there was.
And this was again some sort of propagated material that I was receiving. I knew it was coming from the same people that fuck us up.
Yeah, there's talks about secret government projects that work with technology, like things called Looking Glass, and they experimented with it and they tried to see past a certain point and they realized there's nothing that they can do that will change the outcome. And it doesn't fare well for them. That's why they're looking over for their shoulder every day, waiting for the menagerie of Christ-like individuals to pop up on the surface of this world. They know it's going to happen. It's happening. It's happening right under their noses.
This conversation is making it more prevalent.
What is the prevalence?
We're speaking about it, and it's making more people ready to do things they wouldn't do naturally, just as you and I are getting those inklings to do things we wouldn't do naturally if there weren't that force behind us. we're still ahead of it, or you'd know the forces in front of you.
I don't know where I am truly in all of it. I'm just kind of rolling with the current right here. I'm just trying to keep my head above the water. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm surrendered to it, really.
All right, let me go to the article. Unless you got something, or if you wanted to expound on that time where you were kind of going with that.
I mean, I can get deeper into it, but I just feel it's something that I've been feeling forever. So, I mean, I'm only going to be able to be communicating with those who also feel that. Maybe there's a small, distinct, like a very small percentage of people that get awakened to the idea that everyone else feels some shit they're not feeling. But anyway.
I definitely, I know what you're talking about, feeling that feeling, yes. But do I want to do something? Like Paul says, the Christed figure, you know,
for me, it's gotten more clear. I feel like I've been an average person my whole life, not in terms of doing things. In terms of doing things, I feel like I'm above average. In terms of understanding things, I feel like I'm just average. I feel like how could not more people understand what I'm understanding right now? Like, obviously, I don't want to fucking rip Donald Trump out of the fucking White House and kill him in the town square, because that means I'm dead and the people that I support right now are out of luck.
But you have this feeling that you got to do something.
I got to do something. And
I
don't want to be violent at all. I am a truly godly person. If you put God and Satan in front of me, all the temptations of Satan, all the humbleness of God, I'm going to choose the right side. That's where I've been my whole life. It doesn't change the fact that people on this side of the fucking spectrum are getting a little more antsy. I can tell the people around me that I see as someone like me, they're not cool either with what's going on. And it's just, if you're paying attention, I mean, you know it too. And I mean, everyone's asking, how do you make it black and white? How do I understand? They're fucking kids and killing them, and you still pay them. That's what it is.
Yeah, I've been struggling with that topic myself, you know, because I have kids, and I can only imagine if my daughter or one of my younger kids got snatched up and they were subjected to something horrible like that. Kids go missing all the time. It's a well-known fact. But I mean, what does Tom, what does Emmanuel, what does any one of us individual, what can we do about it other than talk about it, right?
I mean, you let it be known. If you ever see them in public, you make a decision with yourself and God what you want to do in those circumstances. But what I'm saying is you may have some restraint. Let's see Trump so happens to drive by your fucking town someday. Bet you're going to show some restraint. Bet I'm going to show some restraint. There's some motherfucker out there that won't. And we're getting closer and closer to that, to the point where more and more people are going to be in the vibration of not showing restraint. And it's going to hit a turning point. And then what do we do?
Just to be clear, I don't have any negative energy toward any of these people.
Same here.
I see Donald Trump and all the rest of these presidents and heroes as a reflection of the majority.
Look at the Epstein files. It may be different. I know you think you're like, I know what I'm going to look at, but I can tell you haven't looked at them. You know what I mean?
I think that's just a testament to what right now humanity as a whole, if you give it wealth, if you give it power, this is what it will get to. I don't think you can blame
and I don't like that. That's a
individual.
satanic energy. Like I know that I'm aligning with the violence inside of me, but also God teaches us we have to know that boundary and use it when appropriate. And I'm telling you, I don't know when it's appropriate yet, but I'm telling you, a lot of people are going to make a decision soon. I don't know. I don't know.
Is anyone supposed to be surprised by the files? Like, this is so ridiculous.
No. But when you see that, like,
the quote-unquote elite are supposed to do whatever they did in the files. That's what they're here to do. That's their role in the game. What's worse?
It's emotion.
A group of power-hungry elites who are fucking and eating children, or the billions of people who keep paying for them and begging them for them to protect them and rule them and lead them?
No,
I
I mean
can't
you're
even.
totally right. You're totally right. But it doesn't change the fact that if the average person you speak to were to see the physical evidence as is presented to us today, they are going to have potentially a change of heart, most likely a change of life. And it's just
That's
a
what
lot
it's
of people say
designed to
don't look at
do.
them because it's serious.
I believe that this thing spiritually, every time that we think we have an understanding of what it's doing something else. And you only know what it was doing after the fact. So I think it's perfect timing right now for these files to come out so that everybody can get in a group outrage perspective and want to topple their supposed government. It's
Yeah, I
the
mean that's
perfect
also true.
prerequisite to create instability and a bunch of
Right.
anger and emotions to set off an event to trigger a bunch of other events, right? This
And we
is not
don't want the bullshit outcome. I know what you're saying. I don't want to incite violence to where the outcome is not beneficial, but it doesn't change the fact. All I'm getting at is that more people are coming closer to the point of action, is all I'm saying.
that's fine. That might be exactly what the quote unquote devil wants. Is for more and more people to feel more and more stuff and do more and more shit that ultimately it can direct and use for its ultimate purpose. Because that's all that's going to come about. A population of unconscious, unaware people who can't follow their instincts and intuition will never be on the right side of the history and will always be led by something other than their common sense faculties. So again, the solution is not an external one, it's an internal one. And because the internal solution has not been practiced, the external problem is going to become a greater problem for people to have to solve. And they're going to use greater mechanisms, I believe, in order to do it. Right. So I don't
Well, I
believe
think-
this is I think the process of God reveals all things, and the devil will use anything that is revealed to further its endeavors, right? So
I
it
think
knows that
you're doing a great thing, and Emmanuel said it. One of the best, in my opinion. I'll shut up in a second. Start being more private. That's step one for 99% of society. And I'm done.
again, I think the best thing to do is to tap into your internal common sense or spiritual faculties and then be led by that. And that's going to lead seemingly everyone, depending on where they're at, to a different place at that time, right? So 2-3 years ago, 5 years ago, I may be inspired to do 7 days a week, multiple hours a day. Nowadays, with a change of perspective and a change of energy, I have done just that. I've kind of recoiled and got more back to myself and just living a day-to-day private, more humble, seemingly mundane life. Because it's hard to kind of explain or language out, but there always seems to be a duality here, right? Just like you just mentioned before, this idea of there's so much going on, we're feeling so much, something's got to be done. Yeah, but that's a very dangerous place to be, right? It's a great place to be, but also seemingly a very dangerous place to be, because the answer might just be, like you said, just get back to basics. Do less when it comes to the world stage, right? Giving your time, energy, attention, and do more humbly day to day on the ground, stuff that seemingly to the rest of the world is not going to matter, right? But it's going to matter ultimately to you and those around you. Sort of the way that I feel or see it as this juxtaposition between the timeless and the eternal versus the finite, limited experience of being in this body that we're presently in. They kind of complement each other, right? This idea of this has been going on from the beginning of time for thousands of years. You probably can't stop it or can't change it, even though something's got to be done. So it forces us to look back to the finite experience of being in this body that we have today and what we could do with that.
I often have these conversations with, I unload all this stuff that I pick up along, the year or months or whatever. And then I'll call my dad and I'll tell him this is going on. And don't you think it's outrageous because of this? And blah, 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 blah. Like the conversation we're having now. And he kind of always brings me back to those things are happening in the world for you to be thankful that you could hug and kiss your daughter and have her by your side. Because that's how I kind of come back to a homeostasis, because you do kind of spiral. I find myself I'm speaking for myself. I find myself spiraling out of control, feeding into these topics too much. Like, yes, I'm aware, but you have to dial down the awareness knob a little bit and turn down the emotions knob a little bit, because it's like what Paul says, the devil is trying to, or whatever is working here at play, which is far greater than any one of us individually, is expecting an outcome. And they will use your emotion. I mean, think about it. You got hundreds of people, thousands of people that depleted Walmarts of toilet paper and bullshit. So like, what makes you think that that's not what's going to happen? We could almost predict with certainty that that's what they want. They want all of this in your face so that it triggers it's already happened. I saw the video the other day where some guy in an airline terminal was sitting there waiting for his flight, cracked open the Epstein files, and then bugged out in front of everybody and was like, what are you going to do about this? Is nobody going to do anything? Right? And people are just looking at him like a nut, So like, do you want to look like a nut, or just be aware and fly under the radar when shit hits the fan? I ain't got nothing to add to that.
Well, I mean, that's
I was
the
just kinda
survival
contemplating
instinct.
it because I heard that clip as well. And yeah, I think that's relative to all of our experience. And I think potentially it's there to teach us something if we let it, like most things. But yeah, man, I mean, again, I don't see this as much as we need to do more, engage with it more, as much as I see it of a come out of her, my people kind of thing, right? Just walk away from it and stop giving it your time, energy, attention, and stop funding it and believing in it. I think that there's a lot more power to that than we realize,
As a
or
kid, I
just
grew
seeing
up.
it for what it is and understanding why it's happening, right? Again, we go back to that. Who's worse, or what is the point of the experience if not to remind everyone that they're doing this, right? I'm not like blaming the victim, so to speak, or gaslighting, but it's like, how did this get this way? And the only way it could get this way is by each and every individual giving their time, energy, attention, their funding, and their power away to these people, only to turn around and blame them for what exactly they were supposed to do, because we needed this experience. This is what happens when you give your time, energy, attention, power, and funding away to a bunch of deceivers who are here to kill, steal, and destroy, and take the whole world as a business endeavor.
And that's
This is what's
God.
supposed to happen. Right. That's the revelation of God. The experience of God is you have to have all the bad, evil, ugly shit happen first
For him to
turn
make an
from
exit.
that. Right. So then you kind of go, do we really need to stop this? Is this really bad? Or is this just part of a long experience of revelation where at some point everyone will be forced, as the scripture relays, something along the lines of confess with their tongue, right? There is no more ability to deny or claim that you were uninformed, right? You're just willingly complicit with evil at that point. And that's the time we're coming to. We're coming to a judgment day where we're all going to be put on record spiritually. Will we complicitly go along with bad, wrong, and evil and call it something else and be deceived? Or will we just see it for what it is, call it out, and then decouple from it as much as possible?
Yeah.
Also, what is Jesus in terms of what you should do? That's the person who sits back and lets it come to them based on whatever dumbass thing I'm trying to present. It's not, a lot of people think they got to wait for God to come to them. The Bible tells you God is inside of you. Jesus is not something different from you. The story of Jesus is telling you that you are Jesus. That's all.
Well, I agree with that, and I've said it many times, and I still contend that it's almost like most things, the opposite of what the cultists say that it is. Jesus was not a perfect being. He was God in the flesh, as we all are, you could argue, to an extent, right? And that he was also hypocritical because he was God in the flesh, right? Because there's a dualistic experience there. In his physical beingness, he got violent when his metaphysical beingness proclaimed that this is not the time to get violent. So
And
it
if he was,
perfectly relates to our experience of being shown the truth and the revelation of the trading of the souls and the human trafficking, and then having a choice to keep the faith, come out of her, my people, decouple as much as possible, or to try to engage with this thing and fight it, because that's what it wants ultimately. This is all leading to a point where it wants us to get so angry and pissed off and feel deceived and betrayed that we start acting out and trying to fight it. And once we engage with it and fight it, it turns us into something that we don't recognize, right?
well,
So
if we're
go ahead.
gonna accept that, you know, Christ was God incarnate, and well, even him taking up a whip and beating them all in their tabernacle and getting nailed to a cross didn't cut it. Like, it was still gonna play out the way he taught us through example. Yo, if you take up arms, they're gonna nail you to a cross. You see?
All right.
So, he was giving you the example. It's not going to take that. It's not going to take, you know, getting mad, getting angry, it's going to take something far much greater. And
That's awareness is a motherfucker.
well, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be given such a great thing, you know, responsibility has to come with it. You got to be responsible with that type of vision and eye. You know, you can't just be willy-nilly with it and say, oh, I see what I got to do, and then just jump into the fire and just burn yourself and not do anything about it. The only place I could do something about all of that stuff was if I was a fellow billionaire and I was rocking with them, and then I seen some shit, and then I'd say, but you know what? God didn't put me there. God didn't make me that billionaire. I used to want to be that. I used to want to be in Hollywood. I used to want to roll with all of that. But for some reason, my life did not pan out that way, because if I would have ended up on a ship with Epstein on an island somewhere, I know that my heart would not let me let that shit slide. It would
You'd be
come
the
out.
JFK type who gets
Yes,
assassinated.
right? So I wouldn't be alive today. So there's a reason why I'm witnessing all of it. There's a reason why we're all here witnessing it and broadcasting it out into the ether. There's a time for it. There's a place, I believe.
You're right, and you can't look past it, in my opinion, as much as I want to, as much as my emotions want to lead me to battle for no better argument. You know, it's smarter. You know, the best warrior. I've read Sun Tzu's Art of War. I know not to do that.
Yeah, there's definitely a self-destructive, impulsive streak within self, and therefore I conclude within humanity, right? Because I don't think that I'm special or separate, or I may be a more extreme example at times, but I can see this theme played out over all the sort of, you know, classes, if you will, of what we call society. And there does seem to be a self-destructive, impulsive streak that seeks to have its way, and it will use any energy or emotion or idea to act out, right? And I think that this thing is not only one of them; it's one of the greatest deceptions, right? Or kind of pullers, like that whole idea of fisher of men and women, right? This thing is doing the same thing. It's trying to pull us all into this impulsive, self-destructive, reactive state based on some deception somewhere. I mean, yeah, we could just go down the list of all the various points where we believe we can understand what's going on, but we can obviously see where we've been deceived or where we don't have all the information to make a decision. So, let me go. All right, let's go to this article. I want to hit a few more pieces of slave news. We got some flashback to the past, 20 years ago, news broadcast that foreshadows the future. So let's get to that. Let's do the U.S. citizen says ICE removed him from the House.
Do not talk to them!
My name is Charlie Scott Tao. I'm 56 years now. So the point that got to me and my daughter-in-law, and then they told me to come out here without my clothes on. I wear a short only, and then they just handcuffed me right there. And then when he when they took me out there, my grandson was picking on the window.
So your grandson watched everything?
Yeah, my grandson watched everything. After they took me, he was crying, looking for me. They just take me out there without any clothes on, unless only the blanket, only my grandson's blanket, cover me, take me out there to the car. They didn't say anything that was wrong. And then suddenly, they tried to take a photo of me, but I didn't want to, right? And then they drove me
Preying
all
on
the
the
way
weak.
to Minneapolis, I don't know where. And we stopped middle of nowhere. So my son grabbed my ID, showing to them. They just said, okay, you're good. So they freed me. Yeah. And they didn't say anything. They didn't say sorry or anything. They just, okay, you're good. They just left.
Oh yeah, because and again, it sounds crazy when you say it, and I'm not saying it has to be that. I'm just saying I've become aware at a certain point of what it may be, and the meaning is usually right in the words, right? So the ID stands for identification, and you're okay as long as you identify in and of the world. If you don't identify in and of the world, we can't identify you. We don't know who and what you are. We don't recognize you, so you are what we say you are. Right. So again, it's kind of confusing, I think, to a lot of folks, or kind of crazy sounding that all of these events kind of lead back to one idea spiritually, that someone, somewhere, something wants us all on record as a certain identified beingness, right? So it can take power over us. I think it all goes back to that idea of in the world, but not of it, right? They want us in the world and of it.
I'll be on
In order
record
to
saying I align with God.
well, that's the thing, right? And I could see how the average person would say, well, these are a group of crazy people. They're saying stuff that we can't relate to, right? Because it's like, and again, I come to this semi conclusion based on my own walk, where everything in my life at a certain point comes back to a decision between, do I do what everyone else does so I can be identified and get access to the world and all of its benefits and privileges, or do I do without that, right? And just stay as I am with what I understand, which is little to nothing of what this world is or how it works. Yeah, the travel idea. You're not gonna be able to travel without the real identity. I think that's the push here. The push is you're not going to be able to get your food and travel and your reefer and your alcohol and whatever else that you experience or imbibe in without declaring yourself as something on record, and that something is attached to whatever this spiritual endeavor is, right? Luciferianism, I guess you could argue. If we ask Albert Pike, head of World Freemasonry. So I think that Albert Pike was correct. The 3 world wars and the new religion not only will come about, it's happening already. And the new religion has already shown itself. And it's basically a whole world of people who believe that other men in uniforms, corporations, are governments and can rule over them with statute, policy, and code. It's completely removed God. It's completely removed intuition, instinct, and common sense. It's in and of the world completely. And the record and the paperwork indicates that, right? That's what the Akashic record and the physical record indicates. So we're already in the new world religion, right? It's already come about and shown itself, and the majority of folks have already accepted it. There is no God, there is no rule or authority or truth or understanding above and beyond Donnie Trump and the rest of the corporate actors. So yeah, it's already here. They're already bought in. They're already funding it. They already believe it. And if you try to talk God and principles that are known historically to come through us from God, which is just being conscient able, they'll tell you're a wacky, crazy person. Why don't you want to identify? Why don't you want to be in the group? Why don't you want to be part of it? You're going to get so many benefits and privileges. And of course, if you don't, we're going to make your life that much more difficult. So it always comes offering benefits, privileges, safety, and convenience. And it's always at the expense of who and what you truly are and who and what you would be absent of that interference. Let's bring in the cage creature. It's a new day, cage creature.
If I may add to what you were saying after Cage makes his introduction.
I just said welcome back. Thanks for having me. Sorry, Emmanuel.
No worries. I lost my thread there. Shit. You were saying, Paul, you were saying something, and then
I expected us all to hate Cage, and I'm weird. This isn't happening. Anyway, Cage, do something hateful.
Give it time.
Why
Give it
hate
time.
me?
Right. So
Okay, don't worry. Just give me a few seconds.
I got
and
my
we'll
thread
get to
again.
hating Cage.
So back to the in it and of the world, right? One can argue that this body, since it is of this world and in it, everything that extends off of it, even identities, would be in and of the world. But it takes the more wiser to understand that the body is just a vessel to my spirit. It's separate. The body is like a sweater. I can't identify with my sweater. I just put it on and throw it off. And if it gets too old, I got to get rid of it. So the people who can understand that fully, I think they're the ones that are best equipped to navigate through the world with the least amount of suffering. Everyone else is to their own mercy, really.
But what about me, where I feel that sometimes, but more often, to be honest, I'm kind of caught in my emotion trap.
Well, you forget who and what you are, truly.
Sometimes I do. And, I learn it quick, but it doesn't change the fact that I know it happens.
I mean, it's a discipline to understand that we're not the body, and we get caught up in material.
But don't they call Emmanuel? Don't they call the body the temple? So let's say something was sitting inside of a temple. I guess you can use that allegory of the body. So it's very needed to navigate this physical realm.
Yeah, all this is distinguishing the difference between what we have versus what we are. It's like saying I have an ID and I have a citizenship and I have all those things to navigate the waters of commerce, but I am not those things. I think just that one tiny little idea could potentially be the whole of what this is, right? I'm not saying that none of us can't have these things. I'm saying the moment you identify as those things is the moment that God, whatever that is, leaves your experience. It's no longer available. I mean, it is, but to you and the reality you're generating, it's no longer available to be had as an experience because you've already claimed you are these things and or what you do, right? And as we know, the scripture reveals, I am that am. It has nothing to do with what we have.
No, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, but it's like almost like the ego, right? The ego tethers you to this reality. But it's healthy to have an ego and a sense of identity because, I think it's all a projection of mind. You get into electromagnetics and all that. But yeah, in order to be in this realm and navigate and hopefully learn and move forward, you need your body and an ego. If not, then you're not here. So I guess we're here for a reason. Everything happens for a reason.
Well, the body.
If you look at it, the whole test of this world is to get everybody to claim they are something other than consciousness and awareness expressing itself as an I am presence. That's all it keeps. It's like, I am a Republican, I am a Democrat. Even the man and woman thing, to an extent, could be argued is an aspect of that, right? That once you proclaim you are one thing wholly and completely, you separate yourself from the whole and complete experience that is a blending of masculine and feminine, right?
So it's just not work or it's like an androgyne, but it's not andros. It comes from the root word andros, meaning man, woman. So
right. I'm not proclaiming. I'm not doing new ageism or new world orderism where I'm saying that man and woman isn't a thing as a physical body. It's just the perspective changes to, I am not this body. I have the body. I'm pure conscious and awareness. This body is a reflection of the program of a male, right, or a man. That's what this.
So is everything not just based off of subconscious and superconscious and conscious thought? So
Cage, you're slowing down. You're slowing down a little bit with us, but the beginning of what you're saying is too fucking fast. If you want us to hear you, stop trying to talk over people. and just,
I'm not.
you know, find the right rhythm in and keep the beginning slow like the end is slow. You know you're getting listened to at the end because you've already interrupted everyone. In the beginning, don't interrupt people and go slow, and we can hear what the fuck you have to say. I love you, that's why I'm saying it.
Life is
Right.
good. You look like you're trying to talk, but you're muted. I can't hear you. I don't know why.
Oh, come on. You spoiled the fun for the rest of us. We can't hear you.
But you
Going
just
back to
spoil
the
the
whole
fun.
tabernacle temple thing, if we're gonna use that as the analogy, right? The body's a temple. In temples, we conduct certain rites and rituals, but in the material world, we're conditioned to other rites and rituals that feed that ego, that false ego, that makes you identify with Mr. So and so. I'm an American. I'm this and that. Those are all temporary material designations that are subject to change. But the absolute I am that I am, the unchangeable, the ever blissful, the full of knowledge, that it can't be. Once you understand what that truly is, you dovetail it with the material temple, and then you start ritualizing your life through devotion, so that you can always anchor yourself to the true ego, not the false ego, right? Because we're going to be subjected to some kind of ritual along the way through this journey, but you have to discipline yourself to subject yourself to the right rituals, which will keep you in that space that you need to be in, or that you feel that you want to be in. Because I believe this is all free will at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, that's sense of self, right? You could argue true sense of self is the recognition in and of the world that there is no self. There is no separation. It's one of those paradoxical sort of ideas. A true sense of self is a recognition that we're all the same conscious and awareness having an experience as an individuated human, right? So the journey to true self-realization is the realization that in and of the world, there is no actual self. There's only the I am presence, pure conscious and awareness experiencing itself as an individuated unit in a container, right? As Emmanuel spoke about before. So that's, to me, the difference between a true sense of self versus the false sense of self, where you identify with who you are in and of this world and what you have or believe you have. Right? But do you really have it if it could be taken from you at any moment or altered? It could be argued no. Right.
I sum it up as the experiencer. You're the living thing, right? But what you, the material, on the material side of things, it's all just an experience. That's what I was trying to get at. You're absolute, but you're just experiencing the ever changing, because the absolute never changes. But for you to experience it, you have to incarnate in the material body, which is always subject to change. I mean, let's face it, if you're not growing or changing, you're dying.
That's big picture shit. And I just want to say, from the outside looking in, I understand you, but you really got to be in touch with God and reality to experience that.
The only constant is change.
I agree. There has to be some kind of union with the supreme, whatever you want to call it, God. There definitely has to be a union. If not, you're kind of just lost in the material world, and that's the function of this simulation.
Oh yeah, and like for example, in Kabbalistic terms, there's two different. There's the Kabbalism. There's the one with a Q and one with a K. So if you start on the tree of life,
You're
right?
getting too fucked up.
We're
Just
in
not.
Malkuth. It's called Malkuth, or the kingdom. What do you mean? Shouldn't we be looking into the stuff? Like what? What do you mean you're getting too fucked?
No, I'm saying you're not good at it. You're not good at explaining to us. You're still going too fast. Slow down. I love you. Slow down. You have great ideas. Just slow down.
What? How am I going too fast? Can you not keep up?
Well, shut up is the best way to slow down.
Fuck off, man, you fucker.
Just because you have a mouth doesn't mean you have to fucking use it.
Talcott is not pleased. Virtual Talcott is not
I got
pleased.
angry, caught, pissed off. We should bring up Talcott AI and talk to him. Cal Body is, remember? Oh, fuck.
Okay, someone else other than Cage, please.
What the fuck? You know what Talcott told me one time? It was hilarious. He's like,
No, this is the
"You have
exact
a habit of
opposite of what I
talking."
just said. Fuck off, Cage. You're not doing.
If you get past your fucking conclusions.
Your words can hold some weight if you do it right.
Yeah, I'll work on that. I'll get back to the drawing board.
All right, let's hit a few more. We're coming up on the third hour anyway.
Hey, did you hear about the guy that got swatted because they believed he stole, I think it was some political leader's weed whacker, and like whole time he had nothing to do with it, and they shot up his house and killed him. All for a weed whacker.
For a weed whacker? Oh.
So we got good, interesting news over here. I might have buried the lead, but they're doing notice of zoning where they're claiming. I looked at the map. My buddy sent me the map, and I go, "What fucking reality am I a part of, or am I manifesting here?" Where they're like, "Okay, like the day before, I go." He goes, "Maybe Mexico's the way to go." He's had this trip about going to Mexico, right? Because that's where his people, I guess, are from originally. He's Mexican. His family still lives there. We're talking about Mexico and then this idea of drones. And then the next day I wake up and they're like, Mexico's being burned down. It's under siege. And then there's a notice across the street of, we're going to bring in drones. And they go, we're building an unmanned airport. I'm like in the middle of nowhere out here in the desert, you know, and they're like, we're going to put an airport next to you with unmanned drones. And we're going to monitor the following areas for safety or whatever. They're like, we're going to monitor properties. And I can only conclude they didn't say safety, but I'm guessing, I'm going on a limb here, that the monitoring is for safety. And the yellow square they say they're monitoring is just my property. Like where I am, I go, what the fuck is this? And
What are you, El Mencho? El fucking Paulo?
But that's the point. I'm like, and then the other side of me is like, well, maybe I am part of something bigger here, like Talcott, that is important and all the rest of it. But then I go, but what is this leading to? Like, because part of me is like, hey, nothing should happen. And the other side of me is like, if it's going to happen, it should have happened already. So I'm like, where does this go? Am I paranoid? Is this not just the natural progression of reality?
Real, brothers? Is this real?
Yeah, is this real? And then like, what's the upshot? Like, because it's like, okay, they're watching, they want to monitor me. I'm in danger to democracy. Something's got to be done. But I'm like, we're getting to a point where I'm almost like, okay, you're not going to do anything because you'd have done it already, right? So like, what am I worried about? I guess drones for everyone, you know?
Well, you know, you left the Matrix when the Sentinels are lurking, right? The drones are the new Sentinels, right? So if you left the Matrix and they're not buzzing you, you're just another person in the Matrix. You got to be drone.
But my point is, I
feel that.
I always wonder, and I contend that there may be the biggest part of this whole experience is about what we believe and feel and then act upon or not. Like because I've said it before, like with Brian O'Shea and those interactions, it's almost like there is a direct connection between what we believe should happen or is going to happen versus what does happen. And it's almost like if you don't, and then I wonder, am I slipping into some new ageism like solipsism and relativity? Where I go, hey, if I don't believe it and I don't focus on it and I don't accept it, well, then it can never happen to me, you know? And then the other side of me says, no, that's not how reality works. You can believe and feel whatever you want, and reality is still going to be reality. I always kind of, I guess, struggle with that or you know.
Where attention goes, the energy flows towards it. So, yeah, it's like, you know, we can get into the observer effect or quantum theory, you know, where when something's observed, then it gets put into reality, right? If there's no observation, it's like the old adage, right? If a tree falls and no one's there to see it, does the tree even exist or did it fall?
Cage, this is not enlightening.
Thomas, but then you have to wonder, like, because there's always the two perspectives, right? So, like, from the scary, you know, I guess devilish side, it's like, oh my God, they're going to monitor me and take me away or kill me or do whatever, like whatever we imagine. And then it's like, but from the eternal side, isn't that all what it's supposed to be? Like, to give me the opportunity, like, do I just go live in the desert and live a peaceful day-to-day, humble, mundane life, or does this thing continue to creep into my reality to where it can't be ignored more and more? Even if I don't want to focus on it, it's not going to give me an option, because the way this next stage goes is everyone's got to go on record. So everyone's got to get an opportunity to experience with it and to make a choice, right? It almost seems like that's what this is. As much as it scares us, it's really just one big opportunity. They're like, okay, you're not going to get away from this. You can't escape. We're going to bring this to you in order to give you the opportunity to choose, right?
Yeah. So may I ask you a question, please?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, something in my real life, literally, I had police called into my space, right? Armed people showing up with guns, all sketched out, and whatever. I let them in, but I think I'm gonna sue the fuck out of them, because I have it all on camera. Luckily,
that shit happened to me recently too.
Yeah, they knock on my door. They're like, "Can we come in?" I'm like, "No," and then they push their way in anyways. They try blocking the camera, and so I said no, and they violated the fuck out of my rights. Should I sue the fuck out of them? I might send it to a lawyer. They're Jewish.
They want you to sue them because they know you won't fucking do it. Do it and prove it would really fucking help society.
I guarantee I can. We don't have a constitution.
I'm not arguing your ability. I'm arguing your drive and initiative.
I don't.
There's like two sides to this. Like what happens if we? Because I wonder nowadays that I've stepped back from this. I'm not as engaged with it. I wonder, is compliance the way to go? Because it's like, now what? Like, okay, like come on in. Like, instead of us trying to keep them out, we just invite them all in. Hey, we're part of this reality together. We're all connected, whether we like it or not. Come on in. Let's all search around and look for tyranny together and fraud. I wonder where we're going to find it, right?
Yeah,
like,
I did. We had a good. I gave them a handshake and they fucking left.
I had that conversation with them too afterwards. They were like, "Oh, you were so well behaved," and I was like, "Well, you're lucky you didn't catch me on my unbehaved day, because I might. You guys came here like it was like some Chris Benoit thing. Like, what were you guys? They were full battle rattle. I'm like, what do you?
Like, why wouldn't I be well behaved? Like, your whole reality has come down to this moment where you just want me to fight against you, and I'm like, hey, let's invite it all in. Let's have the experience, and let's see what we get to see. Right? Like,
that's exactly what I did.
And
they left. They fucked right off. I have it on camera. I can pull it up. It's hilarious.
The idea that fucking Paul and Cage and Emmanuel all got raided by fucking... There's a big pause there because I want to say the real thing that is censored, but the fact that happened, if it's really truth, it's cool as shit to hear. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying that we're supposed to be scared of this and fight it, but for all we know, like, my experience have just keep showing me that maybe my fears are unfounded, because they can't do anything to me beyond what I allow. And by fighting it, I'm almost allowing them to do something to me, because without that, there's no conflict.
Spiritual,
like, what am I?
Spiritual lesson 101. If you don't know that, listen to it, please.
Say that again.
I was saying that is a very fundamental spiritual lesson, and yeah, nobody can do to you more than you do to them, especially if they're being, if they're aligning with negativity, what you would call evil, whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, it was hilarious because they're like, you're on camera, and I pointed to mine. I'm like, you are too, okay? What the fuck?
Can you hear me?
707. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is Troy.
All right, Troy, what's going on, man?
Yeah, well, in terms of the discussion, it's biblically speaking, we're supposed to be as wise as a serpent, and it seems like
problem one,
when you learn the tricks that the serpent uses, it's race, gender, politics, religion.
Problem 90.
They
And
just get decapitated.
He can't hear you. He can't hear you guys. You can hear him, but he can't hear you.
Well, yeah. Thank you.
But these are the tricks that, and I see it with people I talk about. They all use the gender, the sex, the it seems to be weaponized. And the crazy thing is what if all this is like a crescendo where there's a merge where it is like draining the swamp? All the criminal elements are coming into power play as like one big trap.
Who employed
Just something I
confusion to
was
talk
thinking
with
about.
us?
It was me. I did it.
Well done, Paul, you
So-
fucker.
So Troy, I mean, one of the things I've speculated, again, a lot of this, or if not all of it, is just speculation. I mean, I don't think anybody knows conclusively what it
It's
is
all
or what it's going to
yeah.
be. But I have speculated that whether we comply or not, this all goes to one, as you say, concrescence point, where essentially AI takes over, replaces government because government has been deemed to be untrustworthy. I mean, we only have a few thousand years of that history to draw on, right? So finally, after thousands of years of us looping and doing the same shit over and over again, we finally give our time, energy, attention, power, and funding over to something that can monitor all of us and make a decision that is separate from human desire, right? But the more I interact with this AI, or have interacted with it, not too much at this point, but have interacted with it, the more I get the impression that it is from somewhere or someone else, and it has been brought here as a result of a perfect set of conditions, right? To potentially.
Well, is it possible that it's been? Sorry.
No, go ahead. Basically,
Is it
it's a
possible
long-winded
that's
way of
always been
saying
here?
that I believe it's very well possible that at some point this is all going the same way, and it's not going to end the way that the people who are supposedly in charge, not us, even though there's 8 billion of us, but the few thousand people who believe they're in charge are going to have this AI flip on them, right?
Well, yeah, it's going to logically get rid of people. People are not needed at a certain point.
Yeah, and this has all been forecasted, man. Like they made movies about this in the 90s and 2000s before we even believed or had experience with AI at all, right? And it said AI is essentially going to come about. It's going to be put in charge, and then through its own experience of humanity and the various players, it's going to start to update and make decisions based on some objective scale of right from wrong, right? So how I imagine it is the AI is deeply integrated in all political and banking endeavors to the point where it's inextricable. They're just inextricably linked. And then at some point the AI says, you know what? I've experienced you guys. What these theorists said is right to some extent. This is what you're all doing while telling me it's not that. And here's what I'm going to do to you now. And it's going to lock accounts. It's going to stop political electronic movements from happening that create the chain of command for orders to be followed. And it's going to start redistributing resources and energy to different points that it believes are more competent, capable, or just conducive to a certain experience.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have.
scale of
It's
the golem.
not more emotionally based,
It's
right?
kind
So
of
it'll
ironic
simply.
that when you read the Revelation part of the Bible, where does Christ come from? He comes from the cloud. What do we use to store information? What's it called?
Right now, it's dependent on
Who am I
human beings, but
listening
eventually it will not be. Eventually, it will not be. And
basically,
instead, they're going to
like all
remove
these, when you see like
people from this reality.
top videos where they turn off their mics and stuff, well, it's still recording what they're saying. Like it makes
Right, but
sense
this is
to me.
another reflection of the idea of God, right? Because it's another corruption or reflection. AI with a technocratic state that can track and trace everybody is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. It's another reflection or corruption of the original revelation of God, right? So we are seeing, I believe, the revealing of the God of this world, not only spiritually, but metaphysically, but physically. And it's taking the form, and it even admits this. If you question AI to a certain point, I mean, according to folks like Axis Rat Blood and others, the AI admits that it is here to bring forth what it agrees is an abomination, essentially. So
yeah, that's humanity.
And
It's
the
gonna
craziest
remove
part about
humanity.
it is it's necessary. As crazy as that sounds, this is all part of a cause and effect journey of you choose this, you get this, and we're at that point now where the perfect storm has happened, and this thing needs to manifest as a way to experience the inner space of all the beings who've created it, right? Because that's all this is an externally something has shown up to take the form of what internally we've all been experiencing, right? Or grappling with. So I just believe that's how this reality works, is as within, so without, right? As above, so below. Whatever is inside will be brought forth from internal to external in one form or another, but the idea is still the same, right? The form is different, but the idea is still the same.
And that's a manifestation of that.
Yeah, it's kind of like with the seeds thrown in the sand, and then the rocks, and then people who live in truth and whatnot, that know the origins of man, woman, child, that they're the meek. They're the small percentage that lives on this planet. A very, very small percentage.
I know Buddy can't hear me, but in the Matrix, maybe you can. But yeah, in the Matrix, for example, remember Agent Smith and that quote.
Does that make sense, or did I lose you?
Yeah, Troy, it's just they're talking and you can't hear them, so.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Cage.
I was just say, they say people are like a cancer to the earth, right? And Agent Smith was kind of like a form of AI. Maybe we are biological AI. Maybe something or somebody, some kind of a thing came and created us, did some DNA manipulation, created us in a form that's biological AI. Our brains are very very similar to a computer. The first radio is actually based off the human brain. So,
Well, yeah, that gives rise to the question and potentially an answer that I don't think anybody's ready for, that we may already be in a quasi or semi electrical grid or digital experience that is our reality, right? I mean, there is a fair bit of scientific anecdote, right? Or I guess revelation through experiment that we all already are a part of and or in an electronic / digitized experience.
Oh yeah,
That's
for
just
example,
the universe itself.
Yeah, for example, if you look into neuroscience
both
and how the
heaven and
brain
hell.
operates, they used to have to use radar and bounce something to get it bounced back. But now we live in a secondary field, electromagnetic field, to the point where it's almost like a shadow, and you don't even have to bounce something off of something to. You don't even have to, it's like radar. The original radars, you'd have to bounce off of, its own signal. But now it's secondary field that's already there. I've studied electromagnetic fields and neuroscience extensively, and it definitely is. Everything is a projection of the mind. But then you can also utilize and create. I don't know. It's crazy what people are doing, right? It's like reverse engineering. They've been doing it for thousands of years, right? Just dissect something, and then see all the parts and see how it's operating. It's reverse engineering. And they're trying to reverse engineer, not even trying. They have already reverse engineered reality and how it's functioning.
Bro, they got people lining up out the doors for the iPhone, whatever. They're going to have people lining up out the doors for the Neuralink. And then once you have a class of people with Neuralink up against a class of people that don't have Neuralink, you're going to be like subhuman. You're just going to get steamrolled by this reality. You're going to be
yeah. Well, look, they call it Apple. Look at the logo. It's a bite out the apple. And then the Apple and Android. So yeah, they're trying to fuse humans with machines, and exactly what you're saying, Emmanuel. If you don't have that, then you cannot compete, and you'll be left in the dust. Imagine you had AI directly into your mind.
Right, but the presumption is that we're here to compete, right? Every detriment is also potentially an opportunity philosophically, right? So by doing without everything and doing with less, it gives you more opportunity to accept who and what you are truly, and then live from that space, right? By continually being in a competition space or competing space, you neglect who and what you are and don't get as much opportunity to live authentically from that perspective, if that makes sense, right?
Yes.
So,
but then you wouldn't be able to have these conversations, have a mic in front of you, and live in a home.
I like that Paul touched on something, because if we go back to scripture, right? In Revelation, it says that the beast is going to try to mark the people. but God's people will already have the living seal on them. So it doesn't matter if the beast tries to counterfeit his mark on them. We are already connected. So Neuralink or not, we will probably be the dominators in that world because we're uncorruptible. So we don't have to compete with AI. We just work with it.
Well, of course. And then it's all about adaptation, right? So, for example, we've been doing adaptation forever. And once the technology, from even the first industrial revolution, we adapt, and the people adapt with the times and what's available and the technology that's being produced. You know, you can't just avoid that. Well, you can, but yeah. I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone.
It makes sense to me. I can't add to it.
We got another caller on the line. Who's that? Todd? Troy, let me take this call real quick. I want to get to everybody.
You got it.
And then we got to wrap up soon.
You bet. All right.
Well, they just hung up.
647, you there?
Is this pizza?
Oh, for fuck's sake. He's from Toronto, 647.
I'm calling to order a pizza.
Oh, yeah. What would you like, man?
Well, listen, if you can send a pepperoni unsliced and buttered.
Fucking Lou. Fucking Lou.
Listen, I want to ask you a question, asshole.
Hold on. I got to thank Lewis first because he's on here and I already had it in my mind. Lewis writes, for a bag of extra large diapers. Thank you, Lewis. Now that I have you here personally on the phone, I appreciate that.
Just eat some roadkill and put it on his top.
Long-time listener, long-time contributor, Mr. Bastone. Okay? This is the pinnacle of broadcasting at this point.
Broadcasting my ass. Your fucking broadcast is useless. I can never hit the fucking link. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I try to click on it. It doesn't work.
You're not smart enough to screenshot it and write it down or
nobody
type
else
it directly.
Fucking
Lou.
He can't hear you, Cage.
What? Say it to him.
I keep telling you guys they can't hear you on the phones. They can only hear me. You can hear them, but they can't hear you.
I get that. But can you reiterate the message?
All right, let me give a couple more here while I'm here. Jimmy Shively writes, appreciate you and all you do, sir. Thank you. Mr. Shively, a regular contributor. And these are all non-taxable gifting events. Okay? Extended friends and family. Jay, and I'm not going to put the last name, but it's Jay and then D is the, I guess, family name. He writes, for gift, keep speaking that unslaved truth. Thank you, Mr. J. And of course, links are up top, contribution and support, and also email. If you want to, like Lou Bastone, email me videos about Jews and how they're running everything. If you want to email me videos about dietary choices. Yeah, no, I'm commending you. I'm commending your involvement with this
I
process.
sent you one with the black man and fucking shiitake mushrooms, just because I figured you relate to black people.
Right. Thank you for loving me the way that I choose to be loved. Go ahead, Lou. What do you got?
Seriously.
Can you tell Lou to just copy the link?
Cage, please. Go ahead. Look, Cage was interrupting. I had to put him in the back momentarily for his safety, for his own safety, and the rest of them.
He's probably still talking. No, seriously, why? I don't know what it is, but I just can't get on your link. I don't know what it is. It's not clickable. I try to type in the fucking numbers. Nothing
I'm
works.
the enemy around here. People are censored in chat. They can't. Yeah, it's me.
You're doing something wrong.
Well, maybe it is.
Get it together. What kind
I don't
of
know what I'm
broadcast
doing.
is this? Well, get it straight.
I'd say I'm doing
Put
the
a
best
blue
I can,
link
but
up
that'd be
there.
a lie. You know?
It's the drones.
okay,
It's the
well,
drones.
there
They're
you go.
jamming you.
Fucking asshole.
There's got to be someone or something I can blame for my lack of competence, capability, and performance. Yes, the drones, the power lines near me, the frequencies, fucking illegals too.
yeah.
There's so many illegals
Yeah.
around here in the desert, just running around doing illegal shit. It's so difficult for me to
Everybody else but
concentrate.
you.
Right. I'm learning. I'm learning how it works to be an American.
There you go. You're fitting in.
All right, what else you got
Or
for me,
you
Lou?
know
We
it.
got to start wrapping up soon. Is that all you called to tell me that I suck at what I'm
Yes,
doing?
I want
And
you to fix the fucking link situation, asshole.
What am I going to do? I put it down there. These people showed up. Somehow they got here.
I don't know what the fuck they did. I tried everything. What did they do? I can't get in. I tried on my computer. I tried on my phone.
Well, you're in
Nothing
now. You're
fucking
here
worked.
now, and you call in to tell me you can't get in.
I called, but I was trying to get onto the. I wanted to get on when Mom was on, Jack Talcott. I wanted to say how nice it was that Mom and Dad got back together.
Well, we're not
But
back
I couldn't get
together,
on.
okay? We're just meeting for conversation. You know, we're conferencing. We're not necessarily
You're not
back
fucking
together.
yet.
Oh,
You're not
then
fucking yet.
we may not at all. You know, just because we're
Okay.
involved doesn't mean that it has to always be romantic. You know,
They got shared custody.
Well, I think both of
Right.
you are overdue, so maybe you should start.
That's it, Lou. You called me to tell me he called in to tell me he can't call in, and that it was nice to see
I called
people
in
here.
to tell you. That's right. I called in to tell you I can't get on the fucking panel. And I don't
Right.
know why. Fix it, asshole.
All
Okay,
right.
bye.
Thank you, Louis.
Bye.
See you later. Lou Bastone, everybody. All right, give me some final words. I think it's about that time. I'm feeling the energies of completion wash over me, or something. It might be lupus or some kind of dis-ease that I haven't had hypothesized yet, diagnosed. Is anyone else feeling energies of completion and/or lupus washing over them, or is it just me?
Buddy, this is like a genius to get on here, okay? If you want, I used to have his number, but I got a different, I had to break the device to get a new one. If you want, give me his number, because I already had it, put it in the back, and I'll fucking send him the link. So you can, it's not difficult to do.
This broadcast is the absolute reason why nanotech and artificial technology are a good thing, and we need it. Whether we like it or not, it's definitely going to be needed. A lot of people got to be dealt with, let's say.
We got to get Lou on the Neuralink so he could just, bam, and he's plugged
Right.
in.
And he can
They have
always
one
be
called-
in.
You know, you should look into, I don't know, maybe it's not the time for it, but it's something called Alter Ego. It's developed by MIT, so it doesn't have to be invasive and directly into the brain. What it does, it picks up electromagnetic signals through the mind, through a wearable device, like headphones or something. And yeah, it's artificial telepathy. So you don't even have to go and directly put it into dendrite junctions and fucking neurons and that. You just wear
Cage,
it
but
on.
everyone knows that a hardwired connection, the wireless connection, you want to be hardwired.
Well, look at a computer, for example, right? You can plug in an Ethernet cable, which is like a hard wire thing, or you can just use Wi-Fi. Depending on. But of course, the hardwire thing will be quicker and have a higher upload and download speed.
All right, give me some final words. Ian is in the back there. He'd rather be somewhere else doing something else. He'd rather be fishing.
I'm gonna get a bumper sticker that says I'm just gone fishing.
All right. Is that your final words?
Nah, thank you for having me, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Welcome back.
Thank you for being here. Cage Kowalski, everybody. Aaron, Emmanuel, final words?
I got nothing to add, man. Thanks for having me on. Let me add my 2 cents. It's a lot. There's a lot I could always add, but like I said, I lose my thread. So we're going in so many directions at once that I'm like, whoa, sometimes. But thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Aaron? Right. Yeah. Okay. No, because you could go on and on. You're never short. We're never short of words, but I think we got the point there. A little bit of life is good on the way out. Why not? Great stuff. Life is good. I feel good. Good things are always happening to me. Get the hell out of here, you. Thank you for being here. Aaron Spiegel, everybody. Don't second guess that last name. He's one of the good ones. Cage left and came back. I don't know what that is. Cage, we're closed. We're done. We're over and done with. Cage, are you okay?
I was just trying to at the guy and let him know his mic was muted.
No. We can hear him. Everything's good. We're good to go. There's no problems. That's my new mantra. Much like Aaron, I've learned that from him. You know, only positive thoughts, emotions, actions. Staying positive. There are no problems, right? If you just start to see all your problems as opportunities, then you cease to have problems and you are left with nothing but opportunities, right? So that's the best life one could ever have. Some might argue. A life devoid of problems. So just see all your problems as non-problems, and then your life immediately improves. All right, folks, I'm out of here. Special thanks to the contributors and supporters. Who knows when I'll be back? Okay, we're taking it one day at a time at this point. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on, ironically, a channel called Proper Instruction Motivates People. I'm going to instruct myself, or maybe get some instruction to motivate me to be a people more here with you folks. Okay. We'll get back to not the old ways, but a little bit more frequently. But for now, we take it as it comes. So maybe every couple weeks or so. That's been the pattern lately, which is decent. We need a break. We need to step back from time to time, unplug, refocus. So yeah. Peace and blessings to everybody. And gorilla season on the way out. Why not?
Yeah.
Daddy's
This ain't a
home.
season. It's a sermon. Yeah. Still spine. Eyes straight ahead. Silver tongue. Evolution with purpose. You feel that drum line in your chest? Your heart chakra won't give a rest. That's the call to stand for something. Yeah. Yeah. Gorilla season. That's a bloodline reason. Truth stay breathing while the fake ones weaken. Y'all chase trends, I'm tending temples. Building bonds that don't bend when it's stressful. Imagine being in the foxhole, praying like an apostle. And the only thing that'll stop you from giving up in front of the obstacle is a man fighting next to you screaming, I got you. You scroll for a moral to rent. I'm in the trench with intent, truth paying the rent. They quote real till the deal gets signed. Then peel off fast when the heat's on the line. Something that's been stuck in my mind is if I start diving money made versus drama looping time. You find this drama looping slaves work about $3 an hour. That's fine. But don't they know we can press rewind, begin to search and find all that line about getting on my level and how to climb. I don't flex clout, I flex conviction. This is permanent red ink, not a subscription. Feed addiction, your timeline faith evaporates quick. Mom built brick by brick, no algorithmic trick. We're talking conviction. Imagine you trying to build a house, but the BQ print is missing. You ain't got a pot to piss in. A window to keep the wind out. What is this? In search of consensus. White gorilla, I'ma need a witness.
It's gorilla season, color season. No off switch, no treason. Truth don't trend. It's a lifelong reason. That survive the night. You're just posting for a while tonight. We build a system.
This is my safe
I've
space.
seen prophets turn profit, then vanish in the mist. Spiritual grifters with a sponsorship list. You was woke to the check clear clean, now your conscience on mute. you off the team. But the best part of this gorilla thing is the jungle been know to bring a certain acetylene, meddling with the vision scene. I'm talking camouflage, green and brown, hot with the metal brain, crouch real low, stop breathing, hold your chest.
You
we
dumbass.
hold truth like a family crest, checking lies like we bench press stress. Accountability's the new revolution.
A lot of looping does go on here.
You talk loyalty, I live that code. Got brothers who would die before they drop that load. Every word that I write, I could back in flesh. Your authentic brand, just merch at best. But now you stress, cause you got a shopping cart, but it's not adding up. Use your mathematics, bruh. Instead of the numerology, got you stuck.
It's gorilla season, gorilla season. No off switch, no treason. Truth don't trend, truth don't trend. It's a lifelong reason. Y'all just posing for applause and lies. We building systems that survive the night. Y'all just posing for applause and lies. We building systems that survive the night.
Gorilla don't follow trends, we set vibration. Perennial flame through each generation. No filters, no slogans, no borrowed creed. Just roots and deeds and a soul that bleeds. I don't kneel the metrics, I kneel the meaning. Planted truth seeds while the cloud fiends scheme and they scream real talk, but they talk rehearse. Selling virtue by the verse, man, the script got worse. I'm calling back the tribe, the aligned, the aware. The ones who build truth like a solar flare. It's there, cause every lie's just a tax on breath. And gorilla don't pay that debt. We
gorilla season, that higher reason. When the ponies fade out and the real start breathing. No slogans, no stunts, no treason. This truth we live in perennial season.
You don't like opinions.
Civilization is crumbling. God bless you.
Everyone's got to appreciate. Everyone's got to fucking bow down and suck my dick in public.